Okay, that should work, right? Okay, we're live. The chat work, right? The chat work, right? Yeah, it seems fine. Okay, we live. Hello. Oh, hi, DJ Tyler Radio. Nice to see you again. That pops up on the screen. Wow. This is cool. So, we're just gonna wait for people to come in before we start. Have you been Tyler? Okay, cool. Awesome. Um oh hey Approver, no how are you? You haven't missed anything. It's just the start of the stream. Just started. Doing well, eating breakfast and gonna play some Inquisition. Hey, that sounds great, Tyler. I hope your breakfast is nice, and I also hope Inquisition is good. I am still on Dragon Age 2. I don't think I'll be able to finish Inquisition in time for Veilguard, but it is what it is, you know. I'm having a lot of fun time with Dragon Age 2. Yeah, and for anyone who's just joining us, we're just gonna wait for people to come in before we start anything. And also tell me what you think of chat being on the left side of the screen. If you like it, if you don't. Thought it seemed cool to just have you guys like pop up. Yeah. Oh hey Jeremiah, how are you? Okay. Approver Singh says, I look back playing Exalted Planes, it got it scary, so much death. Yeah, right. I remember when I first played Exalted Planes as well. I was like, oh, okay, sure. Like, it's it's such a creepy like scene with everything, right? Of all the corpses just coming up, and you just like taking them all out, right? And like the battlefield is just stopped because of so much death and destruction. You know, it's cool. Jeremiah says, "God, I'm sorry, good. I'm so fucking hyped for this game." Yeah, no, I'm too as well. I'm too as well. Okay. I think that should be like most people. We can just like go forward. So today as I mentioned in my hold on before we go let me make a post about this then. That'd probably be a good idea. The mage build will be overpowered in the game. Oh no, yeah, definitely. I can definitely see a lot of fun with the mage build. It looks really great. Okay, cool. That's done. Probably should have done that first. Um, hello. So what's it about again, Knight? Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So the stream is about, as you can probably see, is we're gonna go through the article talking about, hey, this is how BioWare was going through and how they made Veilguard and the steps that they took from it. And then we're also going to do this Eurogamer article as well, because a very specific like a few quotes that like John Epler said, where he talks about like you can't really make everyone happy, and also it's just generally an interesting post in general, you know. Did they release the map? Oh, they did. We can quickly look at that. You will probably one-shot anything in max level. I mean, yeah, most likely Jeremiah with the mage build. Okay, okay. So let me quickly go here. Because I also did get the, it wasn't like I think the official map for the game, but I do think it is the map representative of the game. Gold. Okay, here you go. Open image in new tab. Yeah, wait, hold on. Open image in new tab. Okay. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. It's obviously a low res image, but like, you know, we have Cal Shrock over here, we have like the Anarphils, this is the Grand Acropolis, Orlays over here, for Eldon's here. It's like a generally like really well made map, you know, or especially the sides here, like Gillenon's here, Elgonon's there. We have the Dreadwolf like dying a bit, you know, which is cool. I wish they had a new game plus like an yeah. I mean, like that is a nice thing about the like having a new game plus. It's really just like a you are relaxing and having some fun, you know. See if we can just. That's good. Okay, cool. Yeah, it really is a cool looking DJ Tyler for you. Anyways, so yeah. Basic just we're gonna go through is gonna go through these two articles, talk about it, explain some of my thoughts on whatnot, and also because like I think there's a general like really interesting articles that show us how Bioware really like came into its own with Veilguard, you know, and how they remembered a lot of the rest. So yeah, and also anyone who's watching here, this is also going to be a live stream as well, so that's why the chat's on the left side as well. I mean a YouTube video, not a live stream. It is a live stream. But yeah, anyways, on to it. How Bioware finally got Dragon Age to the finish line after a tumultuous decade. Okay, and so this is like the last IGN, exclusive interview that they have, and yeah, and also the art here that they did is really well done. Anticipation was running high within Bioware when Andrew Wilson and Laura Milley, again, apologies for mispronouncing anyone, two of EA's top executives visited the studio in 2023. They were to see the latest Dragon Age, which had been in development in one form or another for nearly a decade. It was a chance to show, after struggling through the releases of Andromeda and Anthem, Bioware is finally back on the right track. The story of their visit came up more than once in The story of their visit came up more than once in our visit to Bioware for September's IGN First. Director Corin Bush, who was conducting the demo, remembers rehearsing for hours and hours to make sure, and this is a really funny bit we're going to get to, until she got it right. I knew the content like the back of my hand and everything was going well, but of course we get to the live demo with Andrew Wilson and Laura Mill in the room. As soon as I fight the Pride Demon, I get walloped right off the edge down into the pit and die. Which is so funny, you know? I absolutely love the idea that she was like, okay, we practice, we rehearse, we're ready for this, and then she just like fumbles the bag and dies, you know? And then I also love the response that like they give, you know? And he turns and looks at me and goes, well, at least your load times are great. Like, my man, like, that is a pretty funny like little story, you know, of and obviously I don't think Andrew Wilson's like a great guy. He's still a CEO who caused a lot of the issues like from Bioware, for Bioware. But like, I think one of the weird things about Andrew Wilson is that like he legitimately is a developer. From what I remember, he worked with DICE on Battlefield a lot and whatnot, and so he does understand that sort of like how game development works, you know, in a sort of way. But it does still like we have to keep in mind that like Andrew Wilson still is the guy who caused a lot of the issues for like Bioware. Cool though, it's a very funny quote. Well, at least your load times are great, you know. It was an embarrassing moment for Bush, but in its own way a victory. At the time, the game would become Dragon Age: The Veilguard was less than 3 years removed from a major reset, shifting from the skeleton of a multiplayer game with repeatable quests, a tech basis, and an outline for a story to a full-blown single-player RPG. In that time, Bioware had effectively torn Dragon Age down to the studs, implementing a brand new battle system along with a host of new content, with striking a turnaround for a game that at one point looked like it might never release. And this is like a very interesting thing, because like now we're getting a lot more details on how Veilguard's development. We all knew that it had live service elements because they made literally a fuss about how they removed it, but it's like, oh, it was a lot worse, you know. it was like a multiplayer game with a repeatable quest, So like we would have legitimately had the sort of equivalent of go do the dungeon and take out Darkspawn, and then when you get to the Darkspawn, go at the end of the dungeon and then like get a chest full of loot, And like the story was like de-emphasized, And it's like, oh yeah, that makes like a lot of sense, and like can explain some elements within like Veilguard, at least some like the UI elements. But it's interesting that like again they turned it around. To cap off our IGN first coverage for Dragon Age of Veilguard, we're going to take you inside BioWare on the eve of a major milestone in its history. In the course of reporting this story, I spent 2 days at BioWare, played hours of Dragon Age, and had a lengthy sit-down interview with Studio General Manager Gray McKay. Here's what I found. Reset. And also just, this is such a beautiful art, dude. BioWare GM Gary McKay is unassuming when you first meet him. He's older than the average game developer, favors plaid buttons, and likes to talk about hockey. Hockey comes up a lot around BioWare, actually. Remember correctly? Yeah. And which I think is a nice humanizing moment for like Gary, because like I think one of the things that is good for like people in positions like Gary is that hey, you need to be like a bit of a human, right? And a lot of times, a lot of the issues with a lot of games comes down to the fact that leadership doesn't really care too much, And I think this is like a good indication, like if he's like this, if he's just like a chatty guy who's like happy to like play games and stuff, like I think that's good. Oh my fucking god, they would have killed Dragon Age and people crying instead now. Oh yeah, that's true, Approva. Like it is odd to me that a lot of people like say that like a Dragon Age is dead when they legitimately like turn it around to such a huge degree. The game was going to be a live service multiplayer game with repeatable quests, and it was gonna have less emphasis on the story, right? And that's just like, oh okay, cool. Like my man, that would have like been awful, if it turned out the right way. In the studio, steeped in history, McKay, in a relative newcomer, he took over as a BioWare general manager in the wake of Casey Hudson's second departure, which is very funny that like Casey Hudson left, came back, then left again. He preaches order and commitment to quality in the studio that at times has been compared to a pirate ship and has experienced a worrying amount of crunch in the system, which I think is a very apt description. Because like, I'm not necessarily sure if he means like all of BioWare, or if he just means Dragon Age, but Dragon Age is definitely like a pirate ship kind of thing. I certainly read a lot of the same stories you did. I would feel like we've brought a little order to the chaos without stifling any creativity. McKay inherited a studio that, in many respects, was not in a great shape. In the span between 2017 and 2020, BioWare cycled between multiple GMs. Leader writer David Gator exited in 2016. Michael Laidlaw. Yeah. And I think one of the important things to talk about here is that like the position that BioWare was in, right? BioWare was like not in a great position, BioWare in many respects was like, I don't think Andromeda was like a bad game, but I do think Anthem was the least like BioWare game that they could have made, and it hurt them a lot in both the public perception and also internally as well. It harmed so much of what they are as a studio, And I think it's important as to go back here to make that point, because the turnaround that's going to happen. In 2020, Dragon Age had yet to enter alpha and was coming out of a period of experimenting with its implementation of multiplayer. Since the release of Inquisition in 2014, BioWare's Dragon Age team had had been pulled away multiple times to try save different projects that were in trouble, cancelled at least one version of the sequel, and pivoted to multiplayer. It was a type of development hell that killed many of the projects, or at least badly damaged that in quantity. Now, this is another thing that's very important to talk about, I think, is that they've been trying, constantly, right? Like, it wasn't, Bruvis thing says, it upsets me, people blame BioWare as a whole when it wasn't Edmonton game but Montreal. I mean, yeah, Ryan, like, I think an important thing to realize is that, like, while BioWare was helping with Andromeda, that was, like, in its later stages, when it was a lot more codified. Montreal was more responsible for how Andromeda turned out, and especially when Mac Walters came in, Mac Walters did not, like, recognize that, hey, maybe this procedural generation stuff isn't great. They, it was like, oh, maybe we should move away from this. No. Mac Walters was like, no, lean into the procedural generation, which, like, I think really harmed the game. instead of just like pivoting and just like doing, you know, linear level designs, linear open worlds, or just like switching to Mass Effect's more mission based structure. And again, like I think this is a really important point, you know, because like Dragon Age has been trying to, you know, get its project, get itself done, you know, but it's just like it never has the opportunity because other games keeps taking its like time development away from it, you know, and especially because like, and I don't think the article mentions here, but one of the reasons why Veilguard is like had multiplayer roots at all. Oh, hi, Spooky Fairy. I hope you're doing well. I really wanted it to be open world. I mean, Veilguard is open world in some respects. It has a lot of open areas. I wouldn't necessarily say it's like Oh, hey, Spooky Fairy. I wouldn't say like it's a completely open world, but like imagine Emprius de Luen, but like a lot linear. You know, not the cost of quality. Yeah, that's true, Approver. Um, but yeah, like again, Veilguard was multiplayer because EA essentially used helping Anthem as a way to cancel it so that it could become a multiplayer title. You know, which does suck. You know. It was a period that Bioware had began laying the foundations that would shape its course in the next several years. Dragon Age was really focused on some pretty clear decisions we needed to make, such as multiplayer, which we decided not to pursue for all the good reasons. And when I think about the state, I think about what is it that we wanted to do with this game. And it was really going back to our roots and what we're great at, which is a single-player hero fantasy games, obviously set in the world of Dragon Age, around credible storytelling, characters that just jump at you in the game. And I think this is like such a good thing for Bioware to like reiterate and state. You know, we were trying to do multiplayer, but we realized there was a mistake. And again, like we decided not to do it to pursue for all the good reasons. Like that's a good thing, and why I think McKay is like a good GM. We haven't heard a lot about him, really behind the scenes or anything. But from like this interview and from others, right, he seems like a genuinely good guy who wants to make sure that the studio he's working with is doing its best. And obviously for BioWare, that's telling single player stories, you know. I mean, the characters in this game, you're filled with love and loss and complex choices, and so we really wanted to make sure that we were coming it back to the heart. So it's not a multiplayer game. It's not microtransactions. It's an offline game. These are all things that we really wanted to return to what we feel would be a successful game, and that is such a amazing point that I feel like so many people are like missing. Whatever a lot of people think about Veilguard, whether they like it, they hate it, for whatever reason, this I think is one of the most good things that have ever come out from like EA. You know, is this like omission, this like ready statement shouting out, saying that we needed to make such as a multiplayer game. We decided not to pursue for all the good reasons, and then so it's not a multiplayer game. It's not microtransactions, and it's an offline game. These are all things that we really wanted to feel to what we feel would be a successful game. And that's like genuinely like amazing, you know? Like it's obviously not a good thing we live in a state where a lot of single player games and single player studios just shift to multiplayer, you know, because that's what they're told to do by their, you know, corporate overseers. But like it's so good, you know. Spooky Fairy says, going with duplicates to upgrade is a safe approach. I really wanted some enemies dropping gear, items, and random stats variations for excitement. I hope a lot of gear, items, and winning gameplay. Oh yeah, I mean, I think we'll still get that sort of thing. I haven't heard anywhere of I haven't heard that the Veilguard is not going to do that. If it isn't, then it isn't, right? But like I think Veilguard is still going to have those kind of things. To what end Bioware revealed in early 2021, and this is a weird thing because like I imagine they did ask him like why did they release a trailer for Dragon Age in 2021, and I think it's interesting. I not to get into too much, but I do think one of maybe the reasons was to simply indicate that like, hey, EA, people are expecting a game from us. You might as well, you know, keep us around, you know. I hope it has succeeded. Otherwise, it will give a bad message quality and pro customer step back. Yeah, no, I agree with you, Approver. Though, this is more of a cynical part of me that if I think EA will, regardless, see if Veilguard is successful, I think they'll still think that hey, do you know that like it's not selling FIFA numbers? and so we'll do that. Just cancel Bio, just like either shift Bioware back to a multiplayer focus or just like can Bioware entirely because they don't make enough money. Though I do hope it succeeds though. Like it's better that it succeeds than not. Bioware revealed in early 2021 that it was abandoning the development of Anthem Next, pivoting back to Dragon Age to being a single-player game, and handling the reins to Bush, with former co-leads Mark Darrow and Matt Gold in both opting to leave the company. Darrow would later return as a consultant. Bush, a veteran designer with an eye for systems, said about overhauling Dragon Age combat and progression. Now, I think there's a lot cool things about here, and especially the implication. Anthem Next would have been cool if they did focus on it. But I think Anthem Next, like, I think Anthem Next being like, what's the word? Not being continued, right? Abandoning development, as I said, and going back to Dragon Age is a good move because it makes sure that the studio is focused on one thing specifically, right? And also, what is great here as well is like again, what Bush will say here. Of course, as a multiplayer concept, the battle system at the time was oriented around what is it like to play with other players. And again, this shows us that like what Veilguard is now is a lot better than what we had before. Like, legitimately, we were going to see other people running around, whether it was going to be a co-op thing or not, but it was just like, oh, we were going to see people like all around us. And just like, yeah, they were going to interact with companions which we saw, which is like going to be so immersion breaking, And that sucks, that genuinely does suck. Like, it's so amazing that they, again, pivoted back to a single player game. And you can imagine things like companions weren't nearly as the forefront as they are now. And again, it's just like, oh, this is why companions in Veilguard aren't like controllable or stuff like that. Because the entire gameplay basis for Veilguard was, multiplayer. With other players interacting with us. They were just like dudes behind you, And I think and now I don't think that's great, but I think that serves as a really good explanation of like, hey, we could have had it a lot worse, Oh, hello, Wilbur Beasto. I'm genuinely glad I see at least one person engaging with information in an intelligent way and not just looking for confirmation bias. Talking to people about this game and other topics has been. Oh no, thank you, Wilbur. I try my best to engage critically with people with like ideas and people, and I don't want to like dismiss something because I don't think it's right, on the surface level. I want to like understand it, Like there are issues I have with it. Oh, hello, Bart's. Hope you're doing well. And this is a good, It's like, oh, okay. They, and also one of the things I don't think they're gonna say it directly, but it's implied, is that one of the reasons why they kept the gameplay as is was because to reorient the gameplay, to make it more similar to Dragon Age Inquisition or previous titles, right, would have taken a lot more time and effort. And I think it's good that they try to make the best of what they had instead of just trying to like make the game take longer and have the possibility that EA was going to, hey, let's just can this whole project because it's taken too long and it's not really shown any progress, right? Which I think is, again, my sort of like conspiracy theory on this one. I don't necessarily think it's true, but it does make sense that the reason why Veilguard's gameplay is still the way it is because they decided to focus on other elements and bring back companions, storytelling, and all that kind of things, and sacrifice the gameplay as it is, I'm not sure what you guys would think about that, if I'm like off my rocker, or if it makes sense. And this is an interesting part when they say over here. Was it a complete reboot? McKay says no. Now, this is an interesting one, and I've kind of gone back and forth on whether I agree with him on he's saying like it's a reset rather than like a reboot, What does he say here? He'll say it later. But like, on one hand, is it a reboot? Kind of. Because you're taking the game that was supposed to be very multiplayer focused, less on stories, less on characters, and then like shifting it towards that, which is like, again, fundamentally kind of like retooling it for a different purpose, which is kind of a reboot. But on the other hand, you're still holding core parts of the game, like the, gameplay. Like, hey, we still have, since it's over here. We still have like the gameplay. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, come on. What does it do to me? Okay, hold on. We still have like the gameplay. Like fundamentally look like this. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Man, dude. I just cannot prove a point. There we go. We still have the gameplay look like this, right? Like this is the gameplay still, right? So like, I don't think the gameplay from like, oh, hello, Carlene Tis Ilka. I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name. I can see, man, that is very similar to like Bart's username as well. But anyways, hey, how are you? As you can see, like this over here, right? Like this is probably what Veilguard's gameplay looked like in alpha stages, right? I don't think they changed too much from the early days. So like, is it a reboot in that regard? Is it a reboot in the regard? No, because it still has the fundamental basis of what the gameplay loops are. So I think reset is like more accurate, though I think spiritually, I think what they did here by changing, Veilguard from, a multiplayer title to, again, it's not a multiplayer game, it's not microtransactions, it's an offline game, and again, it's focused on its like storytelling and its characters, right? I think it's a reboot in that spiritual sense, Oh, hi, Navy Knight. Oh, no. I don't think you missed much. All I was really discussing here was simply that how Bioware came from, Slavic often do. Yeah, I mean, that's true, Approva. Navy Knight, I basically was just talking about, hey, here is, Veilguard from the start, which is a multiplayer game. And then, we switched to a much more traditional Bioware game, which is single player, offline, character focused, story focused, that kind of thing. And like how the people behind Bioware seem to like have been influencing it to some degree, But yeah. Oh, hi, Vigil. I hope you're doing well. No microtransactions. Some higher up must be bursting a vein somewhere. They must be bursting a vein, They must not be happy about it. Wilbur says, maybe because the pivot from multi to single and the hot potato of leadership is definitely not discussed at all. Oh yeah, Ryan. Yeah, Ryan. Because like it's so weird. Because like Mark Dara made a good point. I'm not sure if I can find it, but Mark Dara made a point where Dragon Age Origins went through like 3 executive directors, and he was the third one. He only came in at the last bit to like finish up Dragon Age Origins. And so Veilguard has seemingly gone through a similar cycle, but instead of shifting from a game that was like going to be Lord of the Rings or Conan the Barbarian or more other sort of fantasy archetypes, it was going from like a multiplayer game to a single player game, And I think that's like, and I think it's good. Not necessarily a good sign, but like, I think like in retrospect, it is a sign that like, hey, things were shifting around, trying to, be better, or trying to make the game more traditional of what BioWare is trying to do. Spooky Fairy says, I was thinking getting Metaphor, but the world was not engaging, then I decided to skip overall. Metaphor? I'm not sure what that is. Is that a game, Spooky Fairy? Bart says, I'm still shocked EA lets them do all those decisions. No EA app needed, no microtransactions, transferring to single player. I think one of the biggest reasons, legitimately, was like Jedi Fallen Order, right? I think EA, is it a game, Bart? Okay. I'll maybe look it up just on the stream now. But like, I think EA, right, allowed them to do that because they saw Jedi Fallen Order doing so well. They kind of forgot that single player games can also do well as, and so when they forgot about that, they were like, oh wait, I forgot, yeah, single player games also do well. I guess we could do them, which means there's a lot more leniency to it, EA probably took too much of a beating with all this stuff. Oh, and also, parts I want to mention is Anthem being such a failure that it was, you know, kind of indicated to EA that like maybe there wasn't maybe what Bio was doing with the multiplayer stuff was not succeeding, you know, and they were trying to approach different avenues for Bio to succeed, you know. Anyways, metaphor Refanzio. I'll look that up now. Vigil says there's also some legislation popping up some places, so of course they'd give up. I mean, yeah, that makes sense, Vigil. Abruva says, yup, how they shut down Visceral because they wanted to make a single player Star Wars game. Yo, man, it fucking sucks, dude. And like, yeah, also, hey, Julia, I hope you're doing well. And it sucks, dude, because like Visceral, like, Dead Space wasn't like a mega hit franchise, but it was such a cool franchise, you know? And I imagine if Visceral was given the chance, they would have made a really good Star Wars game as well, you know? They know their stuff. Anyways, what is this sidetrack? Metaphor. I think I know the game you're talking about. Oh yeah. I know this game. It's like it's supposed to be like a Persona inspired game. I mean, yeah, it's not my kind of game. I'm not a fan of turn-based games nor these type of like style of games. Interesting design though. They're just not my thing. I like that you didn't like it too much though. I'm so shocked EA no longer has a Star Wars license exclusive. Yeah. I mean, I'm not too shocked either. I mean, what did EA do with the Star Wars license really? You know, they released like 2 Battlefronts, Jedi Fallen Order, and like not much else. EA games, because I can't remember specifically when that era was. Because obviously gonna be just the games. Yeah, so like it starts here with like, you know, we have Star Wars, we have then Battlefront 2 as well. We then have like Jedi Fallen Order, and Survivor released after they lost the license. You know, so it's like they made like 3 games. Like they made 3 games with this. Like not bad, but like when you have the exclusive license to make Star Wars games, you know, I imagine they would make more than just like 3 games, you know? Like but yeah. It was also led by Amy, the woman behind Uncharted and Soul Reaver. Ooh, that would have been good, Approver. Man, like what a good deal. Sarcasm, yeah. No, that would have been really good, Approver. I love the Uncharted series because I just like it, and having like a single player Star Wars game that would have been like made by the same person who was behind the Uncharted series would have been really good, you know. What a good deal! What a good deal indeed, Virgil. Oh yeah, I forgot. Star Wars: The Old Republic was under EA, but I think that was before they got the license, though. When did EA get the Star Wars license? When did the Star Wars old? Yeah, this was before. Like, they got the exclusive license in 2013. Sota released it in 2011. So, like, again, like, what did they do with it? They didn't do much with it, you know? Yeah, I mean, yeah, but, like, again, as I just showed, Approva, like, that was in 2011, and EA got the exclusive license in 2013, you know? It's like, you could have done more, EA, but, like, no. But anyways, back to it. Was it a complete reboot? No, I don't see it as a reboot. No, I don't see it that way at all. I see it more about making sure we were laser focused on leveraging and leaning into things that we see as successes. Things we've had successes in and learning from those things. Oh, Vigil says they did an oopsie with their best set. I mean, that is true, Vigil, you know. Have an amazing like game, like not just like game defining, like genre defining horror game. Shut down the studio that made it. Like, yeah, sure, that makes sense, you know. Have like literally on their literally handed over to them, fully completed, an amazing cake, Battlefront 3, they get rid of it. It's like, man, dude, like, you had Battlefield 3 right in your hands, dude. You could have just, like, released it, even if you're gonna reboot it regardless, you could have just released it, Somehow they hurt themselves harder than do good. I mean, yeah, right. Like EA is a weird company, right? Like, at the start, they were kind of, how do I say? They were like, okay, we make licensed games and sports games. Like, that's what we do. Licensed games, sports games, and like first-person shooters. But they occasionally like have like cool games like, oh, Command and Conquer, Dead Space. Oh, that's cool. Like, Dragon Age Origins obviously development before. Like, Dungeon Keeper is one of them. It's like, oh, we have like cool games in the mix. Games that aren't just like sports games, licensed games, or anything like that. Medal of Honor was cool. Mirror's Edge was under them, right? And it's just like, as you can see here, it's like, oh, sports game, sports game, sports game, sports game. Oh, Overlord? Yeah. Oh, Overlord. Yeah, yeah. Like, sports games, Plants vs. Zombies. Oh, okay. It's like, yes, sports games. And then you have like SimCity, Skate, Sport. Like, you have really cool games, but they kind of just like weirdly devolved. And then it's just like, okay, we're sports games, multiplayer games, and that's it, Kind of sucks. What a waste of Visceral and Battlefront 2. I mean, Battlefront 3. But yeah, I agree. Hello. Sorry if I'm gonna mispronounce your name. Paris Lachute. How are you? Why don't you like the story of Baldur's Gate 3? You have said it is bad, and I'm curious why you think. Oh. I'm sorry. Did also FIFA 2 Lemma? I mean, Approva. I'll answer your question, Abris now. Approva. They didn't lose FIFA, they just lost the rights to call it FIFA, right? They still have FIFA. They still have all the sports, they still have all the players that, are in the games, right? So anyone who was like, oh man, I want my favorite football player in the game, they still have him, Vigil says, many companies are on the down thread. Microsoft can make a good Halo game. Blizzard gave up on some game. Ubisoft becomes incredibly formulaic. EA is EA. Bethesda moves to live service and mobile. I mean, that's true. I think Halo is good. Like, under Microsoft is good, but like there was a lot of like inconsistency within them. But that's a whole other topic entirely. But no, I agree with you. Anyways, Apris. To answer your question about why I don't like Baldur's Gate 3 story, I'm just gonna, because I'm not gonna be able to like fully articulate it in the best way. I made a video about it. Where is it? I'm not gonna say like watch the video, because I would be like not doing what I said I would. Let me do that, and I'm gonna put it in the chat. But to just basically explain like why I don't particularly like story too much. Wait, sorry. Approve Everything says Hello main's problem is that they don't stick to their gun. I mean, yeah, right. Like that is really 343's biggest problems, right? It's like they constantly just think like, nah man, we're not sticking to our guns, we are going to change and shift every single time. Didac was the main guy. Nah. Anyways, Apris, so the basic reason why I don't like Baldur's Gate 3 story is I think its story is an interesting story, but it is a linear story being told non-linearly. You have the Mind Flayer tadpoles, and that's supposed to give you, urgency. Like, oh, okay, I am supposed to feel in many ways, hey, I need to get this done now. I need to go to find Halcyon or to this witch or to Auntie Ethel or any of the number of these like other solutions, because like I'm going to die. But the thing is, right, that entire Act 1 can be done non-linearly, which does suck. It genuinely makes it feel like, hey, this whole thing that we're doing is like can be done non-linearly, and you can just like have the story just feel very unimpactful. Another reason why I don't like the story is that I feel like it doesn't take an opportunity on its themes. The biggest like thematic through line throughout the entire game regardless of what, like, if you kill everyone or not, is seeing gods manipulating other people, right? But the game never really says anything more than just saying, like, it's kind of bad, dude. It doesn't really explore the implication of why they're there or the necessity of them, you know? I hope that answers your question, Apris. Again, I think the video is a bit more well constructed. It does go into more depth of why I dislike it. I don't think it's a bad game. Baldur's Gate 3 is an astonishing game that it perfectly articulates the Dungeons and Dragons field and all of that, you know. It's definitely a game for many fans of those type of RPGs, and I'm genuinely about this. I'm really happy that all those RPG fans have that kind of game, you know. Vigil says Baldur's Gate 3 has you tadpole, but it's not regular tadpole. The pole is in split extension, so it's not gonna. Yeah, but the thing is, Vigil, I'm not sure if this is what you're trying to say. You don't know that. You genuinely don't know that. At the beginning, no one tells you that, like, hey, your tadpole is special. The only time you get told that your tadpole is special is when you go to Auntie Ethel and then get the and try to get cured. Then it's just like, oh, it's another Reese tadpole. It's like, oh, okay, it's different, you know. But you don't know that. You don't know that at all at the beginning of the game, and you will only know that if you again long rest enough and then get the Dream Visitor, who then says like, hey, I'm stopping the tadpole from like metamorphosing you and killing you. But that happens if you long rest, which the game kind of like tells you not to do. You do after the third night. Yeah, but that's the thing, Vigil. Like, you have to long rest, and the whole idea is, hey, we are going to die. And Lizelle, if you have with her, says like, hey, my man, you're doing a mistake here, okay? We can't just like sleep this off, okay? This is going to kill us. We don't know that until nothing indicates in the game prior to your long rest that you can do this without any consequence, you know. And even then, it still is weird because the whole conflict with the druids, tieflings, and goblins, right? Like, it doesn't make sense to me that the goblins haven't found the druids grove after like 2 long rests, you know. Like, are they seriously like trying to find where this druid's grove is in like this basin that doesn't have a lot of exits or entrances, you know? Anyways, Close Down says the Mass effect. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what you actually. Yeah, I don't know what you mean by like Close Down channel. Vigil says, yeah, they came up in early access. I don't know how that can address. But that's the thing, right? The issue with Baldur's Gate 3 story is that it's a linear story being told non-linearly. If it was like Fallout New Vegas' story, which is like, go kill Benny, you know, which is like, okay, that's not really much of a. That's not like consequential in like, hey, I'm going to die immediately because Benny killed you and you live, you know. So there's no like urgency to do that. But like Baldur's Gate 3 wants you to be feeling this urgent story, right? Race Against Time joke. You got me there, Approver. You got me there. Okay, that got a chuckle out of you. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Like and that's like, again, I think the only way for Larian to solve that is either A, remove the tadpole entirely and have you be like a wanderer who's just stumbles in onto the mess that onto the mess that's there and just like see what happens, or they tell you right at the gate that, hey, you shouldn't take this too seriously, right? But I do think that kind of sucks because it's like, oh, we have this whole tadpole thing because it's supposed to be used for like a purpose, like a narrative purpose, right? But we don't really get to feel like its effects, you know. Baldur's Gate 3 Early Access gave you a lot more of a sense of urgency, and I think the strength of Baldur's Gate 3 is at the best is that it does a lot of stuff very well. I think it does do a lot of stuff very well, Epirus, but I don't think the story is well crafted, you know. Again, it's a linear story told non-linearly, you know. Weird urgency because of the side content conflicting with the main content, like how you need to stop someone from getting the Reapers to return, but you can also... Close down channel. I get you, yeah. Mass Effect 1 was really like that. I think Mass Effect 2 was a lesser degree, and Mass Effect 3 had some explanation for you to do side content, but Mass Effect 1 was definitely like, you flying around and Joker kind of like asks you like, hey, aren't we supposed to go after Saren? And you're like, Joker, we gotta go to the opposite direction, okay? I need to find some rocks, okay? I need my paycheck, Joker, okay? I have like no money whatsoever, okay? I need this, okay? And I happen to be a long time D&D player, some bias. Yeah, but like when you play D&D like with other people, right? Like the narrative urgency kind of shifts in focus and out of focus like often, right? Like when your party kind of gets a bit bored, it's like, okay, time to ramp it up, let's go. Or if your DM's being like very pissy, it's like, okay, you get attacked by a dragon. He's here because of this thing. You need to do this now. It's like, oh, okay, right. Like D&D, when you have like an in-person kind of thing, feels a lot more better to do because it's what the players feel is right. It's paced in that way, but it's a video game. You know. Approver says, where you have to find Protein archives, but I can still finish this. So. Oh yeah, I mean like yeah, I don't think it's perfect that Bioware does it. Like I don't think what Bioware did was perfect. I do think in some ways they should have been more restrictive, like with Mass Effect 1. Um, but like I think Baldur's Gate 3 is a lot worse on this. A lot worse. Back in early access days, you really thought, damn, I need to take care of this. I mean, yeah, right. But that's another thing that was a bit of an issue with Baldur's Gate 3 because like, how do you progress companions? Oh, you need to long rest. Oh, the thing I'm not supposed to do narratively, I need a long rest. Yeah, that makes sense. I need a long rest. Like, it's again, it's fucked. The only way they could fix it is like not have the tadpole thing, at all, or like make you a wanderer, or like tell you outright that the tadpole is like not dangerous. That kind of like takes the oh, the tadpole is supposed to be dangerous, but like it seems like it's not really gonna kill me. You don't really feel that weight. We catch from chat. Mass Effect 3 had some great missions to show you where Reapers can come from. I mean, yeah, Gina. Also, hey, Gina, I hope you're doing well. Yeah, right. Vigil says there's also some issue with some triggers. Some people would see some interactions. Bloody someone's phoning me. Now where was I? Oh gosh darn it. If they went too far into the game. Oh yeah, right. Yeah. That's another weird thing. Like Baldur's Gate 3 is definitely like dependent on gosh darn it, dude. Someone trying to bloody phone me right now. Just spam calls, it's nothing really important. Yeah, but like Baldur's Gate 3 really relies on you like knowing that hey, this is you need if you want to get the companion content, you're gonna have to like basically sacrifice all narrative urgency and all narrative like reason aside, which does suck. President Channel says, I wonder if Baldur's Gate 3 would have been better without any early access. I don't think so. Like as much as I think early access may have like harmed characters like Shadowheart, Asterion, and Will, I think it was better in the long run because I can guarantee you the bugs that we saw in Baldur's Gate 3 released would have been far more worse. It was good in the sense that it allowed the game to be a lot more functional, but it was worse in the fact that like a lot of stories and characters were kowtowed to fans, and that wasn't really the great decision. Vigil says, as far as I can tell, Four Nights should take place outside of even encountering the Grove. I mean, I get that, but like again, it still feels very like wrong, narratively speaking. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's also a good point to say. Like, early access, Larry needed to do early access for the money, right? Like, as an independent studio, they needed that money a lot more than like most studios, so they couldn't like just sit and do nothing, right, while they develop it. What I hate Mass Effect 3 is the payload one and important story content. I mean, that was bad. Like Javik, legitimately the Prothean, like an actual living Prothean, and it's just a DLC character, day one DLC. That sucked. That legitimately sucked. And that wasn't like good at all, especially with the Leviathans as well. Leviathans less so, but it was still bad. Maybe, but some characters got changed and are said to. Yeah, I mean, yeah, close down channel. I agree. Gina says my favorite mission, best lore, dumb section. Yeah. Oh, hello, Virginia. I hope you're doing well. Thank goodness Spyro convinced EA to drop online connectivity and microtransactions. No, thank goodness indeed. Bart says, "Me too, Gina. I wish there was part of the game." Yeah, Javik not being part of the base game was such a mistake. Like legitimately. Off BG3 topic, but in case some haven't heard, the EA investor call said Veilguard interested in stronger cross platforms and pre-release sales are making expectations of good news. That is good news. That is really good news. I'm happy to hear that like EA's recognizing like, oh, maybe Bioware and single player games are good actually. Maybe we won't have to learn this lesson every 5 times. Bart says, Omega and Citadel both feel more like DLCs than from the Ashes and Leviathans. Those should be in the main game. Oh, I do agree, Bart. It's like, as a whole, Ashes and Leviathans should have been like base content. It should have been base content. Well, the DLCs are in Legend. Yeah, I mean that is a good thing. Like close down channel. Like Mass Effect is now, like since it's a trilogy bundle, it's like a much better game. It's like, oh, we can just play all of it and it doesn't really feel that bad. But at the time, it was bad. Gina says, I agree, the Protheans and... Yeah. Oh, hello, Bamba. Sorry for mispronouncing your name. I hope you're doing well. I think early access for Baldur's Gate 3 also helped with gameplay. I played the early access and were some rough gameplay choices. Oh yeah, that is also another a good thing, right? Because like I think early access benefits Larian a lot in terms of like bug fixing, funding, and gameplay wise. Though I think like a lot of the story decisions that fans like wanted were a real mistake. It's like, oh, hey, can you make Shadowheart nicer to me? I want Astarion to be nicer to me. Hey, can you like make Halsin a companion character? And like all that. It's like, oh, like okay. Oh, and by the by, like even though we never said it, okay, can you somehow make Halsin more likable? And by that mean like make sure he doesn't actually kill Isabella. So he's like likable. I guess. Hey, Virginia. That would be nice. I hope you're good. The pre-order number comment happened before the last trailer that reinstalled in the major pre-cancels. I mean, that is true, Gina, but I do think like Veilguard pre-orders are still fine. We need a DA Heroic Edition. Oh, that is true, Oh, and Approve Singh with the very kind 100 rupees. Thank you so much. Here a little reward for doing good work and support. I hope the mission stake of Veilguard is similar to Mass Effect 3, minus the EMS and Reaper scan. No, I hope so too. I mean, like, Veilguard does feel like Dragon Age's own version of a world-ending threat, because it literally is. Oh yeah, close down channel. That is true. Like patch 7 did make the UI a lot better. Except they made Will worse, rewriting his questline last minute. Biomist Florist, hi, how are you? Bartz also then says, on that point, they made Will so dirty, and they focus on Astarion all the time. I mean, that is true, right? Like, there's no going around it. Of like, there's no going around it. Of like, Will was really given the short end of the stick, and like it sucks. It's like, oh, you have this like really interesting character, and then you just give him like literally nothing, right? Not only that, but like you could have given him more, but you rewrote him just like for some reason, And I think the only reason they rewrote Will is to make him more likable, which is like fine, but like I don't know. I don't think Will's new story is bad. I think it's fine. I think a lot of people who maybe give issues and say like, oh, Will's a dumbass for like taking the pact, which is like really dumb because like Will was literally, as devils go, give you a tough decision between, hey, do you want to save your family or not? It's like, oh yeah, what a great choice, and especially Will, the character who wants to do good things, it's like, oh, I guess he has to do it, But yeah, I think Will's new story is fine, but like I think them rewriting him so heavily just made him like a less of a character in many ways, because he had less content, right? Like again, it's like what Astarion has like 12 hours of content, and like Will has like 8 hours, and I think the second character who has less content than him is like 10. I can't remember the specific character, but like it was 10 hours, and he's still like 2 hours less. It's like, oh okay, sure. I still can't believe they rewrote Will like that, even with a new actor. It is an insane choice, Vela. Close down channel says exactly, Bio. I wonder if Dragon Age Origins would have been neutered with EA. I think a lot of people combined more about Morgan than me. I mean, that is so true. You make such a good point to close down channel. If like Dragon Age Origins was somehow in early access, right? I think a lot of people would have like gone, "How's just too whiny? Morgan's a bitch," you know, and they would have said that, and they would have like if Bioware didn't have like a backbone, would have like, "Oh, okay, cool. We'll stop that. You know, we'll make them more palatable, right?" Would have been spooky to have you have the player be the vampire spawn. I mean that too as well, you know. Like I don't know. Like and this is such a weird thing with Baldur's Gate 3's like main protagonist, right? Is that like they don't have a lot of definition to themselves, which means the story can't really like tell a story about them. They have to like avoid them at all costs, you know. Like it would have been cool if they could have done that, but like I think yeah, I don't know. Asterion is literally the least important story-wise, and Will is the most important. They should have fixed the story, but I mean that is true, Bart's. Like Asterion's popularity comes down to purely his voice, you know, and his actor, which I don't think is bad, right? I think Asterion's actor is like an amazing actor, right? But it is very clear that that is the reason people like him. If Asterion's actor, voice actor, was like, "Hello there, I hope you're fine," like something like that, right? No one would have liked him as much. As much as I despise Ogren and DAO, I wouldn't want them to completely rewrite the character. Yeah, right. I think the only thing you would want, like I'm not sure about you, Virginia, but what I would want Ogren to be is I want Ogren to have more of it, to have his quest like extended a bit more, you know, like maybe after we get him back to Felsi, right, we can have a later quest where he's like, "Hey Warden, could you like help me on a date?" Right, like legitimately, you know, he goes back to Lake Calenhead and they have like a bit of a date or something like that, and he tries to make Ogren like seem more better and like have Ogren change more, you know, visibly change in like the base game, you know. Like that's the only thing. It's like make more stuff that was in line with Ogren's character, right? Not like rewrite him. EA made the comment, and 2 days later the Ice Dragon fight came out, and which resulted in some pre-order cancellations. So that might not be. I mean, Gina, I'm not sure how substantial that pre-order cancel might be. Bio Mist Forest says because he has Lizelle's writer, so it isn't about the writer being incompetent. It was rushed because they didn't have time. Yeah, right. Like, I mean that. I'm not sure because they had like 6 years. I mean, yeah. They did do Will's like at the last bit. Yeah, I still think it's like Larian's fault for like rewriting him so extensively, which is like still again weird. Ogden was poorly written when compared to the other companions. I don't think that, Gina. I think Ogden was like fine. Was written okay. You know, I think they could have done more with him, but I think it was written okay. I think Laren has backbone enough to stick with Karlach's story, where so many wanted to change her ending, which is pathetic. And the only way to save. I approve. I'm not sure if you're saying like Laren has no backbone or they do have backbone, or has backbone enough to stick. I'll just wait for you to clarify before I give my opinion on that. Also, I do like Theo Will's new VO. I mean, I do like Will's new VO as well. They definitely are, I think, a much better voice actor. Yeah, I was also surprised in 2 and DAI that they never really heard much or saw much of Sten since DA2 and DAI. Oh yeah. Like it's so funny to me, that like James Ulm, which was the like main guy on Dragon Age Origins, like thought that like Ogren was going to be like Dragon Age's HK47, you know, which is like, oh yeah, Ogren's definitely gonna be Dragon Age's like HK47, you know, like totally, you know, it totally makes sense, you know, have him return in Awakening, where like I don't dislike Ogren being in Awakening, you know, I liked it, right, but like the reasoning for him being in Awakening is so wild to me, you know. Like, you rather could have had, like, Mahara, which is, like, I'm still sad that she's, you know, dead no matter what. Could have been just, like, the new companion, right, instead of Ogren. I wish Ogren was introduced earlier. He should be in an earlier quest, like maybe gets exiled to Orzammar and is drinking. I mean, maybe close down channel, maybe. Maybe. I'm not sure. Yeah. But that it's an issue with Origins in general because like you could do the circle lost, and like have win literally at the end of the game, right? You can do, what is it? No, yeah, no, yeah, it just win. It just win an Ogren because like Zevran you'll get after the first main quest. Sten, Liliana, Morgan, and Alistair early game. Yeah, it's only like Ogren and win. Yeah, I'm not sure. Karlach, I feel like is the victim of Larian cutting the upper city. Probably would have fixed. I mean, yeah, right. I think so too. Like it's clear that Act 3 is very bloated. Like not only just like content wise, but story wise. Like you have so many different directions like pulling into you. It's such a huge like act that feels like it needed to be trimmed down way more. Okay, like Act 3 is like this. Act 3 should have been this. You know, it's the end of the game. Okay, we don't need a million different things to do, right? And like obviously, yeah, cutting the upper city, to go back to that point, definitely harmed Karlach a lot. Because like now you didn't have like just one specific act that was about her. Like, hey, here's Will and here's Will, Karlach, and Gortash interacting with each other. You know, I think Ogren not. I think not Ogren is a disgrace. Messy he was supposed to be then. I think not Ogren is a disgraceful mess. I mean, yeah, Ogren was supposed to do that, you know, but he was also like I think the general point was like Ogren was supposed to be, you know, becoming a better person. I meant they do. Oh, okay, Abruva. Then I got you. Yeah. Then like, yeah, I can. It is weird to me because like Larian has his like weird tendencies, right? Like, oh, we want the player to have a lot of freedom in what they want to do, but at the same time, we're not letting you get out of becoming a mind flayer, and we're not letting you change Karlach's fate. You are gonna have to accept the fact that like Karlach is gonna like die, right? Or like it has to go back to hell. Like, oh, okay, sure, but like you do realize the majority of the game was literally about you being able to do anything. Okay, like the game has like been about like making golden path choices throughout the entirety of it, and having these like other these choices that aren't the golden like choice feels very incongruent and very disconnected from the rest of the game. He was unlikable, but written okay. Just like Solus might be unlikable for many, including me, but nobody says he's poorly written. So let's be real, Solus is 100 times better. I mean, yeah, I'm not fooling myself, Barts. Okay, Solus is definitely much better written than Ogren is. I just think Ogren's a fine character, you know. Ogren is a Sith Lord. That is true, Vigil. Okay. I am Darth Ogren. It's like something like that. That would have been good. Um, you can go there and recruit him first. Yeah, yeah, Virginia. He is eons apart. Yeah, yeah, I approve it. Like that. That is the weird thing. Like you can have Ogren literally at the early game, or you can have him in the last game. Weird. Claire General says the thing with trying to recruit Ogren is that Bioware did a weird thing and tried to level get into Orzammar, which likely may. Oh, I mean that is true, right? Like Orzammar is definitely is definitely like treated as like an end game area. That is true. Ogren just felt out of place in the crew. I like him. He is funny, especially his party banter. Unless, I mean, I do agree with Hajina. Like, I do think like he's not as coherent with everyone else. And I think a lot of that is just James Owen, who's just like, please, David, please just put him in. Please put him in. And David going like, fine, I'll put him in, but he's gonna be the worst character. I'm gonna write him terribly, you know. Which I don't think David Guetta did a bad job. I don't think he made Ogren a terrible character. I'm just saying that like I think he definitely like did he definitely didn't do what James Owen wanted exactly. The game has a true res scroll. You can atomize someone's whole body. Yeah, yeah, Vigil. Like that's true as well, right? It's like there's so many like Larian trapped themselves in this when they said like, "Hey, we're gonna have a game where you can do literally anything," you know. But like, oh, we don't want you to do that because like that would harm some narrative elements, if you have to get out of the bargain of being a tadpole, right, or like having someone transform into a mind flayer or have a car like die, then that kind of like makes it narratively weaker, which is like, oh damn, you seem to have like gone around to what Bioware learned, but that like the player being able to do literally anything and everything can harm some narrative elements and narrative weights and stakes. Like, oh, okay, but you have to decide which one to do. Okay, you can't pick and choose. Okay, because it's very weird. I mean, okay, I think it's not as bad in like a Bioware style game where it's more restrictive because it's like, oh, cool fun elements, but in Larian's kind of game, it's a lot more noticeable. I'll take about Ogren is the Jar Jar Binks. I don't think, Gina. I don't think so as well. I don't think that. I don't think Ogren's like the best written character in existence, but like I don't think he's that. He's supposed to remember his joining. Yeah, man. It is so funny to me. Ogren, like a fucking champion, takes the blighted cup and just like mmm, and he didn't knock down at all. It's so funny to me. I do not like Ogren. I grew up with alcoholics, and he was just annoying. I mean, that is true, Julia. I mean, like, obviously making fun of that is not really that great, especially because, like, in context, most alcoholics are douchebags. Most of them are terrible people. Ogren banter with Morgan and everyone's. It was so fun, dude. I especially love his banter with Sigrun when he's just like trying to goad Sigrun into having sex with him, and then when Sigrun finally says like, "Oh, let's have sex," it's like then Ogren's like, "Whoa, I didn't," and it's just like Sigrun's like, "Ah, all bark no bite." He's like the comic relief. Yeah, I mean, yeah, right. Close Down Channel says, I wish Bioware or Larian made a Star Wars game in the present. I feel like we need a new, sort of more open Star Wars game than Jedi Fallen Order and games like that. I mean, that would be cool. That would be cool. Oh, and, hold on. I had to charge my phone. They're gonna die on me. Then I can't talk to chat. Um, I mean, yeah, right. I'm not saying people should like Ogren, Virginia. I'm just saying, like, yeah, I think he's better than like most. I think he's like an okay character. You Okay, that was it was funny, Barts. Jar Jar was a great character. I love Jar Jar, but he didn't fit the. I mean, I can get that. I think a lot of Ogren's antics can only be so funny for so long. You're right. Like he's definitely not a companion you would like bring back in Veilguard unless he was literally like, oh, he's sobered up. That type of thing. Um, some asshole. Via games are weird. MMOs have priests that can res, but die in cutscenes. I mean, yeah, that's right, Vigil. Like, there's obviously a disconnect between like gameplay and story. Um, but like Dragon Age like did a really good job to try to like address those kind of issues. But with like D&D, right? It's kind of part of the charm because it's like, oh yeah, we can just revive people if we need to. It's not necessarily accessible, but like we can do it. And especially if you get like to higher levels, right? You can literally wish things away. You know. Oh yeah, and wait, hold on. Oh, I just reread your message, approval. Oh, I'm so sorry. That must have sucked. I am. I have like my own experiences with that as well, and I'm so sorry, my guy. It genuinely sucks. I'm sorry. I will die hoping we get Quarter 3. I want it so bad. Don't you know that Sorcerer is Quarter 3, 4, 5, and 6? Like, no, but I do agree with you, right? It would have been cool to have like a Quarter 3. Though I wonder, like, if a Quarter 3 does happen, like, how it's gonna rectify the fact that like Quarter 1 and 2 was similar games. are still in many ways incongruent with each other, because like KOTOR 1 is basically Star Wars the video game, but KOTOR 2 is like a deconstruction of Star Wars. Oh, hello, Black Sabbath 25. I hope you're doing well. Alarian game set in Star Wars universe would be so good. I think it would be good. Though I think a lot of people would have to, when they play that game, kind of realize like, oh wait, like this isn't like really that narrative, you know. I know, not a good life. Glad my mom moved out when. I'm glad to hear that your life's a bit better at progressing. That's good to hear. Bart says, yeah, I can agree on that. I don't want Ogren coming back in the future games. Yeah, I mean, yeah, right. Unless, like, I mean, if Ogren does come back, he should be come back as like, oh yeah, he's with Felsi, he has his kid, you know, he's a lot better, he's sobered up, he's not drunk, he's like well spoken, you know. It's like, oh, he's a better person, you know. I wish chicken is not tasty to become public enemy. What? What are you on, Vigil? I have no idea what that reference, what that is referencing to. KOTOR 3 was nearly done, then canned like sun. Was it? Approve it. You're gonna have to give me more details about that. I'm not sure how it was almost done and then like canned. Was that like more of an Obsidian thing? I don't know. I think KOTOR MMO killed any chance at getting another Republic. I mean, oh, it definitely did, Gina. Like the moment SWTOR like came into existence, okay, that was it for KOTOR. Okay, KOTOR no longer exists, you know. Especially when they did the when Revan came back, and Kreia became like a super fan of like Revan, which is like kind of weird for a character. No, not a super. I mean, like a fan of like some Sith Lord, which is like weird. Not a reference member, just an ultimate evil. I agree, Vigil. It's pretty natural. I'm pretty neutral on Ogren, but I wouldn't hate seeing him show up again after going through a big character. Yeah, same. A Mass Effect style Star Wars trilogy of video games would be cool. It would be cool, closed down channel. It would be cool. Was it Approver? It was like 80% playable. That kind of sucks, you know. I wish they added controller support to Old Republic MMO. My hands cramp when I play. Oh, I mean, like that does suck, you know. It doesn't happen to me because I don't have that issue, but like that does suck, my guy. That does suck. Anyways, I think we've been on this tangent for too long. Let's get back to it. To anyone who's joining us, we're talking about the sort of development that Dragon Age has gone through, and you know, how it's gone from a multiplayer game to like a single player game, and how that's good. Yes, which is crazy to think. Thinking why? Yeah, I don't get it, Approver. I don't get why some like EA especially like when they had like Star Wars like Battlefront 3 right on their hands, literally given to them, and they're like, okay, cancel it. Why, dude? You could have just released it, you know? Was there some like weird like behind the scenes shenanigans of like contracts and stuff? I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. Anyways, so again, to sort of catch up here. I don't think like what they did was necessarily a reboot. When they like removed the live service elements from like Veilguard, but I do think it's more spiritually a reboot and more like technically a reset, you know, as they described it. Bush largely agrees. In game development, a large part of your initial efforts is that your tech stack and underlying foundation of the game. We also learn a lot of how to work with Frostbite. So, so the nice thing about doing pivot is like this, you know, coming from Square One, which I think is like maybe why they don't call it a reboot, because like it's more of a reset. You still literally have the same like gameplay systems and all that kind of stuff happening, but like it's now with a different focus. Approver Singh says, agreed, so much stupid things going for wage. Can you restart read now most to join us? I mean, yeah, I technically already did that, so hey. Taxes or some business thing, it happens with the Batman. I mean, I think the Batman girl movie was a bit different, closed down channel, but it wouldn't surprise me, you know. Hello, Steve. How are you? Hey man, first time joining your live stream and wanted to see to say keep up the great videos. Oh, thank you so much, Steve. Thank you so much. Thank you. I mean, I have another video in the works. It's about like Veilguard's architecture. It was taking a while for me to like get an idea of how I wanted to do it, but I think I've got an idea for it now. Gina says Star Wars Battlefront was ruined by EA. The original Battlefront 1 and 2 on PS2 was way better, had tenth of the budget. I mean, yeah, right. I think there are some. I think there are some issues that people kind of gloss over with Battlefront 2, like it's just a lot of the same maps over and over again, and there's really a lot of variety to it. But like, what EA did with Battlefront wasn't better, and it's definitely not better than like what they could have done with like Battlefront 3. Really, I thought reboot Battlefront games are amazing. Oh, I think like there's a lot of like good things about the Battlefront games. I think like the new Battlefront games have like really great gameplay. I just think that like, um, I just think it was more like, hey, we have a cool Star Wars first-person shooter game, but it doesn't have a lot of the features that the other like older games had. Steve says also would be cool if now Veilguard has gone gold, could release the CC early. Oh, that would be really cool, Steve. I would like that. I would like that a lot. Battlefront 1 is basically pay to win, but I mean, that is true, Bruva. Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, like, I don't think, like, EA's Battlefronts are, like, hands down the best games in existence, right? It's just, like, I definitely think that, they're better than most people say, but, like, they're definitely lacking in many ways, you know? Anyways, back to it. And our wonderful narrative writing, and this is something that's very interesting, right? Um, and our wonderful narrative writing team had an outline in place of what the story was going to be already. We've done some of the voice casting already, so the bones that do still exist today. But from the structure of the game, going to offline RPG combat system, complete rework, the progression systems are so rich. And that was all from the ground up, which is interesting, right? It's like, oh, okay. They're like, and I think this is important for Veilguard and why. And I think it's this sort of like disappointment and also, but like advantage to Veilguard is that, hey, does it suck that like Veilguard is more similar to Mass Effect than it is to like prior Dragon Age games? Sure, but in that way, it is good that Veilguard stuck to its gameplay and to its like base like technology because it allowed them to do more things. Having to restart gameplay as well would have added so much more time and would have made other elements like less impactful. The biggest problem I have with Battlefront reboots is that they don't have a server selector like Battlefield. I mean, that is true, right? Like, it does suck that so many games nowadays are basically like, gonna die eventually, because like they just don't have an offline component, or like a peer-to-peer system. Gina says graphic, the new ones are better, but story and gameplay of the originals was way better and deeper. And OG Battlefront 2 had the best story ever following. 501. I mean, that is true, right? But like, I think if we look back now, the 501 story that was shown in Battlefront 2 was cool, but it's definitely lacking now. It doesn't hold up to scrutiny, It's still good. I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm saying like the newer Battlefronts are much more like will last a lot more throughout because all of its maps, all of its like sections are a lot more handcrafted, while Battlefront 2's campaign was just the how do I say was just like multiplayer maps as well. Back to it. Um, So even if Veilguard wasn't a reboot, it was at least a reset, not just for Dragon Age, and this is I think very important, but for the studio as well. PK acknowledges the challenges of pivoting from multiplayer to single player, saying that this was the moment that the rubber really hit the road for the studio. It spent years trying to make multiplayer games. Now it was getting back to what is good, and I think that's like a really good thing that a lot of people like miss, like don't acknowledge. Like even if you don't like Veilguard or like what Bayer is doing. This is such a good quote. We spent years trying to make multiplayer games. Now it was getting back to what it was good. What and like I think this can like have a lot more of a bigger effect because now we can have Bioware actually go from hey, here we are making multiplayer games to actually making back what we used to do. Because like that is like really important, and gives them a lot more freedom into deciding how they want to do things. Um, I think Inquisition was always setting up a sort of soft reboot of the series with how much it gets resolved. I mean, I don't disagree. Design channel, it definitely like resolves a lot of like issues in many ways, but I still think it. I don't really think it's a soft reboot. You know, I think it's more of like just ending some choices that we've had like in the hangar. But it's yeah, I agree with the spirit of it though. Remakes, if done really well, can be such a great boost to the franchise. The Resident Evil and Final Fantasy ones are great examples. I mean, that is true, Steve. You know, like Resident Evil, um, one, well, I'm not going to talk about one because one is a bit of a different story. But two and three have been like phenomenal reboots. Like they have like really relaunched the idea. Like Resident Evil 7 really helped bring back the brand, but Resident Evil 2 and 3 really made it feel like, hey, this is like Resident Evil is back. It has launched itself back into cultural cultural discourse. You know, the zeitgeist of everyone. I remember this when people bring up Veilguard's graphics. Remember EA Battlefront? Yeah, yeah. I think Veilguard looks great. I'm just worried our story is gonna be an extended Sullivan love story, and I'm upset. I don't think so. I don't think so. You know, like Solus Valentines were always gonna get more content than like every other character than every other romance. It was just fact, you know. The moment that they made Solus romanceable is the moment they made that that Dragon Age 4 at the time was gonna have more content for them. That just wasn't like that yeah. Like I can get the concern, but like I don't think that's gonna happen, you know. But I do agree. I do wish they had a couple of like non-Solus centered choices. They introduced censorship, even change personality of Leon and character. His, I mean, I can agree with that, Approva. Though I'm not again, like, it's hard to say because like a lot of like the times that Resident Evil like 2 was made was like kind of casual races, not I mean casual like misogyny, you know. Some of it was more like just personality, which is just like Leon's a bit of a dumb fuck. You know, it's like, oh okay, you know. That channel says the Dragon Age story was always going towards Solus being a major thing. The game was called Dreadwolf. I mean, yeah, Resident Evil 4 was an amazing remake too. It was really an amazing remake. Though I don't think like RE4 needed a remake as much as like as 2 and 3 or like Code Veronica. Though I do think it's like still a good remake. Warframe, Warcraft 3 Reforged cries. Ah, oh, that's true, Vigil. Like like but beyond just like Reforged, like not having any custom campaigns or anything like that. It's just like as a visual thing, like I don't know, man. It looks visually nice, but like man, dude, I don't know, man. I feel like they could have like leaned into more of like the World of Warcraft aesthetics instead of like more realism, you know. I even replayed all the games and had a headcanon world setting already, and then boom. I mean, I do get what you mean, Bart. It does suck that we're not gonna have like at least a world state that we can import into it. But like yeah. Oh, hi, Chronicles of Nora. How are you? Hey, nice to see you. No, glad you're here. I might go with the Sullivan world state that I never even did, just to see more interesting interactions. I mean, I get you, Bart. I'm going with the friendship redemption with Solus. Same close down journal. That's what I'm gonna go with. Um, True, glad they removed Ashley's parts. It was downright pedo. Yeah, right. Like so much of early Resident Evil was kind of like, oh, that's a bit of a casual misogyny you got there. Oh, like, uh, uh. The thing I'd say right now is very delusional. I guess maybe just maybe there's a separate menu for editing worlds and these. Yeah, I agree, Hormzil. You know, I'm still on the copium. Okay, I do hope that like Bioware has like something like that or like a culture like 2 style like informing the world state kind of thing. You know. President Channel says, not no, the only I mean, yeah, close that channel. That does make sense. I mean, I don't think why they limited the choices is bad because they were trying to do it, like they were being well intentioned by it, but it does suck, you know. Gina says, I just feel like having the Elven Pantheon be endgame kills a lot of the allure of the cultural lore, and cause it basically said the Elven gods are in control of everything. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Like my perspective on like them revealing that like wait the Maker wasn't real, or like is implied not to be as like real as the Elven gods are, right? I don't think that's bad. You know, like one of my greatest peeves of many fantasy stories is just like dangling mysteries. Like, I'm sorry, dude, I'm not a dog, okay? You can't dangle mysteries in front of me for so long until you just give me an answer, okay? Because, like, sure, the question is interesting, but the question can only be as interesting for so long, okay? You either have to give me an answer or you never get to the point where the question is tiring anymore, you know? And I think what they did with the Elven Gods was really cool, you know? Like, oh yeah, like, it fits in with the Dragon Age theme of unreliable narrators, and there's more than it actually seems, you know? Um like for example, like if you read Stolen Throne, you like throughout the Dragon Age Origins, a lot of people said like Merrick's and Logain's legendary friendship. They were the best of friends, okay? But when you read that book, it's kind of like, no, like they were kind of distanced after like Logain just like killed his like lover, you know. Like, I mean, obviously he didn't kill him, right? It was America did it, but like manipulated him to kill him, right? It's like, oh, and then like it gets revealed that like, yeah, they were really like strained relationship after, you know, that incident, you know. And it's just like, to me, part of Dragon Age's charm is that like not everything we are told is true. You know, most of the codex entries are written by someone, you know. Um, I'm still working on the possibility there may be some choices. Yeah, I mean, same with me, Chronicles and Nora. I'm also like working on the possibility that we can choose choices via dialogue. Still, dwarves are getting more lore. It seems the Qunari are attacking Devinter, right? Trespasser's ending says that, I think. Yeah, right. That is true. Close down channel. And also, like, oh man, dude, dwarves are back, dude. We're getting Kal Sharok. We're getting Titans most likely. Okay, I want to see a Titan punt Gillenon. Okay, just absolutely nail her ass. You know, that'd be cool. Because like I think something a lot of people forget is one of like Veilguard's earliest like releases, Dragon Age, I can't remember the specific title. Where is it? Because one of the earliest videos about Dragon Age, I think it was this one. I can't. Was it this one? I can't remember which one it was. It was. I can't remember. It was like one of the earliest trailers that we had of it, where the developers were talking. I can't remember that. Was it like on Bioware's channel or something? Oh, there it is. Yeah. Behind the scenes. Sorry for taking the detour, but where was it? He's doing a gameplay section. We saw like a weird lyrium golem, you know. Oh, and this is still like so funny to me.
The community wants to kill him. Half the people want to marry him.
I love him. Oh, here it is. Yeah. Like, I think a lot of people forget. Like, my man, what is this dude? You know, this like weird little golem guy. You know, he's clearly something related to the Titans. You know. But anyways, Titans coming back. Dwarves stay winning. Steve says, for as much as I love to see past references and characters come into Veilguard, linking to our previous world state choices and decisions, I'm playing the game. Yeah, right, Steve. I can agree with that. Like, an issue I think a lot of people aren't really acknowledging is this. Eventually, when you have choices carried over from game to game for so long, eventually the game's not going to be about telling the story. It's going to be about showing off your choices, which is fine. that's okay, but I think that should be like left at the end of the franchise. We play as like some character who's you know, we play as some character who's just like going around the world and that's when we get to see our choices just like show off. It doesn't really matter. It's not really that important. It's just like we're ending the franchise and we're seeing how our choices affect everything, right? But like you can't do that within Veilguard because it's like it's taken away from like the story itself. Oh, hello, Wonka Star. I hope you're doing well. Do you think we'll actually get answers for how everything was created, like actual god stuff? Because one of the elven gods mostly just overpowered mages. I mean, I think we already know. I think we already know how things like were made, right? Like how things were made was simply the fate existed. We don't know who made the fate or whatever, but the fate existed. Eventually, spirits came to form, and they moved beyond their core concepts of like compassion, like justice, and became people, right? And that's the elves. And then the elves, eventually, some of them became so powerful they became gods, right? Or equivalent to gods. Vigil says, but he went to the chair and it was empty. That is true. That is true, Vigil. Such a sick ass line. I think it's because Rook's story focuses on stopping Solus and Everners, and he has been no son evidence. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with Pruva. Hmm. Y'all saying, Barts, I want to see Galstrock so bad, dude. Mage Dwarf too. I mean, yeah, we can have like a dwarf that has like magic similar to like Volta, like Bart says. Converted Wood Smash. That is true, closed down channel. Wood Smash too. Do you think we will be allowed to be a dwarven mage? I don't think we'll be allowed to be a dwarven mage. I think we'll be a dwarf with magic. It would be different, I don't think Titan magic is similar to like normal magic, right? We'll have something like that could be basically the same thing, but like I think it would be different in many ways. Do you think we would be allowed? Wait, no. Oh, and just one. Okay. Yeah. Oh, hi, Wide. How are you? I wish the Grey Warned origin in Veilguard would connect to the Cousins of Ferelden. I just wanted some sort of two origins. I'm not sure how they would do that, but that would be cool, Gina. Vigil says, facts that we know the ashes were real, they cure illness. Then you have Curious coming to tell you the Maker is real but empty. Then we have Solus and all legends are true. I mean, yeah, right. I don't, like, Bioware has said that they're not going to confirm if the Maker exists or not. But, like, I think there's something, right? I don't think Andraste was just, like, talking to literally no one and, like, made it all up. I think there was, like, legitimately something that she was talking to. Whether it be just a very powerful spirit or not, is up for debate, I think there's, like, Dragon Age has always, like, said there's some truth to everything, but it's not, but what we are told is not exactly true. I do think the World State situation confirms that they don't plan for Veilguard to be the last game. Yeah, I don't think Veilguard's the last game. It may be the last Dragon Age game for a while. We may have to wait for literally another decade, But, like, I don't think it's gonna be the last one. If there won't be any dialogue world state choices, I'll be treating the first 3 games as Ferelden Trilogy and the Veilguard is just Veilguard. I mean, yeah, I think that's the best way you can take it, Barts. Wonka Star says, thanks, happy to be here. I had forgotten about that. Oh, no, it's cool, Wonka Star. I'm happy anyone joined, Wide, I wonder if they'll turn Morgan to Dragon. That would be cool, though. That would be cool. I'm not sure if they would. I mean, maybe. I don't know. If you choose in Origins, the hero Ferelden goes to Whiteout to investigate the claims of the Griffins incorporated. Yeah, okay, I can see what you mean, Ninjina. That would be cool. No, the well source choice wasn't imported, yeah. The only timeline setting where all lore legends are very true. I mean, okay, I don't think they're all very true, I mean, like, again, the point is, some, like, they're not untrue, but, like, they're untrue in a very, like, specific way, right? Like, here's the thing, right? I think a lot of people, when they played Origins, when they heard of the Avar and then heard of, like, Koth the Mountain Father, they were like, damn, dude. They're, like, lying, dude. That's not true, But, like, oh, Dragon Age Inquisition, yeah, they're real. They're just spirits. Like, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a bit pedantic. You can't really take a lot as truth in DA. Yeah, I mean, you can't do that. You can take what is being presented has some truth to it, but it's not all true, you know. Yeah, Chronicles of Nora. I do hope what you're saying like is true, because I would love that, you know. I would love that. So no dragon in Dragon Age, lol. Not even her little child archdemon. Oh. What is it by? We're false marketing, okay. I think we could see the Warden, or at least a reference to them, since unless they die in Origins, they go to the Deep Roads. I mean, I think we would see a reference, right? Like, we would have, like, maybe some, like, Radiant dialogue, or, not Radiant dialogue, like, some, like, outside dialogue cutscenes, and, maybe you can, like, ask someone, like, hey, can you tell me some, like, historically, important Wardens, and one of them could be like, yeah, Hero Ferelden, you know? I will die on the hill that the Maker is really a Reaper like dragon, and will awaken in Thedas, and was only spotted last time by his love. It is right. I mean, I don't dislike it. Like, my idea for the Maker is the Maker is just like a really powerful spirit. You know, like not just powerful, but like obscenely powerful. You know, but like doesn't do anything, right? Because they're just like chilling. You know, and so like, as a spirit, they're like, okay. And then when they heard Andraste sing, they're like, damn, dude, I gotta get some of that, you know? And they're like, oh, okay, my wife. Okay, I'll do what you say, you know? No, I don't want my Warden to the Deep Roads again. She's done with that nonsense. I mean, yeah, Julia. It's very hard for us, for Bio to do anything with the Hero for Alden, because, like, they were our character, and we had a lot of, like, choice. We had a lot of, like, agency in what they could do. Fun fact, an early concept, Cult of the Andraste supported to Anvara. Interesting prospect. That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting. It would have been cool to see. Yeah, it would have been cool, man. Like, oh, a dragon, then the game lags and you miss. That would have been fun. That's one way of getting rounded wide. Unfortunately, one has to go either go to the Colin or turn ghoulish, yeah. You put it like that, the Maker is the ultimate simp. I mean, he basically is, right? Like, Vigil, like, he literally was like, holy shit, Andraste, your voice is like the best thing you've ever heard, okay? It's literally turned to, I abandon this world, but your singing called to me. Come, and you will rule creation with me. And then Andraste was like, I'm sorry, I can't. I need to help my people. And then Maker was like, damn, well, I guess I gotta help you now. What will your Rook be your first playthrough? I think I may just do a Grey Warden, a Grey Warden Kunari. But I'll do all the different like origins though. I think maybe for Shadow Dragons I'll be an elf, just because I love the irony of it, you know, like, oh, Shadow, like, or I wouldn't say it's irony, but like I love the sort of thematic idea of it, like, hey, you're trying to stop Tevinter being a slave state. You're an elf. The implications, you know? From what we've seen and heard, it sounds like the reactivity to Rook and his decisions will have a bigger impact on the game itself. I mean, that is good as well, Steve. Like, that is the sacrifice that Bioware had to make, which is, which do you want more? Do you want reactivity, or do you want choices being carried over? I obviously wanted choices to be carried over, because, like, I like that, you know? But, like, I think it's fine what they decided to do. Alpha Canary? Canary, but, like, yeah. But for me, it's I just love the Canary, right? Give me a giant dude, and I'll be a giant dude, okay? Because I never played, like, elves or humans in Origins beyond just, like, the Origin playthroughs, you know? I always try to play as, like, a fantasy race. Anyways, back to it. For those who may have joined us, we're just talking about, like, the events, or how Dragon Age came to be as it is, right? From its multiplayer state to its not. Oh, wait, never mind. Wait, hold on. White, it says, what's your biggest fear overall about the game? My biggest fear, I think, is like, hey, I think maybe they're showing everything that we see about the game, right? Like, everything we've seen so far is basically it. Maybe there'll be some Elgranon stuff, and that'll be it, but, like, you know, we've basically seen the whole game. Like, that's my biggest fear, I guess. And that's more like me specifically, because, like, if I didn't know if I came into blind, then I would be a lot more better about it, you know? How about a big dwarf? Okay, if I could make a dwarf tall as a canary, okay, then I'll just be a dwarf. because I love the irony of it. You know, I wouldn't say it's irony. I love the just the joke of it. Like you have this wide ass tall ass dwarf, and you're just like, oh, okay, sure, sure, okay. Um, Inquisitive personality. I know that's not directed at me, closed down channel, but my Inquisitor was always trying to be a bit rational. Bart says, I want to recreate Airshock in the CC, but I think my first rook would be a Dwarven one. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. It does suck that, like, the Canary... I do hope we can recreate, like, some of the Canary in Dragon Age 2 in the CC for, like, Veilguard. That would be cool. When Wish becomes Flemeth. Wonka Star, I think that is true. I think, like, that is the idea that's going to happen. Like, Flemeth was, like, saying, like, hey, you're going... The implication was like she was going to possess her, but like it was something else entirely. You know, that maybe the idea was that Mathol doesn't possess you outright, but like gives you knowledge and powers, but you essentially become the same person. I don't know. It's interesting. The blight is caused because he simped too hard, shouldn't have gotten involved. That's against the Godhood manual. Yeah, right. That's literally like that's really ridiculous. Like the Maker was too sad that people didn't like him enough, and then he was like, "Oh damn, dude, I guess you're all dead then." Curse. You know? The blight cause. I mean, obviously, close end channel just having a bit of bike. Okay, that's good. Close end channel. That's very good. That's very good. Morgan is gonna become the soul. Yeah, yeah, Gina. Yeah, yeah. He shifted blame. He shifted blame. Yeah, he did. Yeah, that is true. You know. The Maker is both a sip and a gaslighter. Okay, who knew? Steve says, I heard all we've seen so far in Act 1, and there's still Act 2 and 3. I mean, I do agree, Steve, but, like, again, that is, like, my biggest worry, I guess. I'm not too worried about the combat or the story direction or anything like that. I think those are going to be fine. Though I am concerned that we've, like, seen basically everything, you know? Based Maker, based indeed. I'm definitely going Elf, Rogue, Veil Jumper for maximum tasty lore. Ooh, that is true. Ooh. That is really true. That is gonna have a lot of like tasty lore implications, and just like everything. Oh hi, Zoltan. I hope you're doing good. What's up? Oh, nothing much. We're just chatting about like Veilguard stuff, and also we're chatting about like the development that Dragon Age Veilguard went through from a multiplayer game to a single player game. I hope they don't rush into fixing the Veil in the first chapters like Inquisition. I don't know. I mean, I guess spoilers. I guess you might want to just like mute me after this for like 5 seconds if you want to hear it. So like, they kind of did. They kind of did, you know. Like, kind of. I'll rewatch the VOD then. Oh, that's cool. That's cool, Zilton. I think Solace is like the story of Icarus. He keeps trying to accomplish his task, but he fall into. I mean, yeah, right. I think so as well. I think the idea of Solace is supposed to be a bit of a tragic idea. That Solace is trying his best, but like he keeps failing, you know. I literally did. Oh, okay, cool, nice, epic wide. Who would your favorite returning character to see Knight? My favorite returning. I think I'm looking forward to Dorian and Iron Bull. You know, I think that's my most what I'm looking forward to the most. Because like Iron Bull and Dorian had such a great dynamic as a romance, and I would love to see that extended. Especially, and I know this is not canon, but I've read I don't remember the specific story, but it was like a basically David Gator wrote fan fiction for Dorian, about him talking to his dad when he's dead. And I absolutely love that, you know. I would have loved to see that like being talked in game. That would have been so amazing. Romeo, hello, what are we talking about? Oh, we're just talking about like Veilguard stuff, and also we're talking about slowly but surely Dragon Age's development from, you know, multiplayer game to now. The Veilguard new content will have has dried up a bit. No major news for so long. I mean, yeah, it has, but I don't think it's a bad thing. So this isn't stupid. He's just a foolish pride. I mean, yeah. I'm gonna miss Cassandra. Same. Close down channel. Jordan is definitely gonna be there. I hope so, Julia. I really do. You know. Cassandra was an awesome. Yeah, Cassandra was a great romance. Like, I played a female elf and I tried to romance Cassandra. I was so upset and pissy about it, and then I made a male Kunari, right? And I was like, oh wait, oh, Cassandra's romance is so good. Is it just fan fiction made by the official people though? I mean, yeah, that is basically a closed down channel. Like, that story I was talking about was written by David Gator, but it's basically non-canon because it was written after David Gator left Bioware. So it doesn't really have like any canon legitimacy though. Though nothing contradicts it, so it's it can be, you can slip it into canon without it breaking too much. Without it like affecting too much. So this is trying when the threshold has passed, the voice is doomed to fail at this point or make everything even worse. The fate being separate from the world for too long, it's over. I mean, yeah, right. It's not, yeah, and that's I think the tragedy of Solus, right? Solus wants to recreate like the past, but he can't do that, you know. He can't recreate those conditions because those conditions have passed, you know. And it generally is like I think a really interesting idea, you know. Especially for like in a magical setting. I hope it's calm before the storm. Perhaps the character creator. Oh, that would be really good, you know. Um. Ooh, that makes sense. Fanfic that doesn't break canon. It's still interesting, like possible. I wonder if I can find it. Where is it? What is it? It was the last talk something. Dragon Age last talk. Can't remember the specific. The final conversation. Yes, this is it. The final conversation. The final conversation is legitimate, like such a wonderful story. You know, I'll link it in the chat. For those who would want to like read it, because like I genuinely do think it's like such an amazing story. You know, like read it, because like I genuinely do think it's like such a timey. Okay, cool. Yep, I won't spoil anything, but it's a mass consumption of light, meaning different factions. Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, that was Warcraft 3 Reforged, you know, not really like the base game. These areas, so it's far as seen. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, we're not gonna really be talking about spoilers of Wonka Star. We're gonna just be talking about the development of the game. That was a great story. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, same, Julia. It was such like a, and I wasn't intending to like read it like for like the entirety of it. I was just like reading just a bit of it, but then I ended up reading all of it and was like, wow, such a good story, you know. As a short as my time has been here, it's been great. Good to head off dinner. Oh no, it's cool, Steve. No, thank you for joining. You know, I'm always happy when anyone like joins. You know, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy your dinner. I mean, yeah, right. But that was like Warcraft 3 base one. The Reforged one is a lot more graphically intense. Anyways, back to it. So yeah. Anyways, it's good. It's good that like they reset Dragon Age Veilguard and turned it back into, you know, what it is now. Oh, close down channel lich. That is Sims Finest. Yeah, it is sad. It is sad, you know. And EA just focusing on like Sims 4, which I guess makes some sense because it's like you can just build up Sims 4, you know. But like, there you can't build on a foundation that like can only hold so much, right? You're eventually gonna have to make a better foundation. Reflection. Reminders of Bioware's early days are everywhere. Darrow, who returned to consult on the Veilguard in 2023, has been around in one capacity or another since the late 1990s. He remembers having to build his own desk after joining Bioware working on Baldur's Gate as a programmer. it was definitely a time a lot of people who didn't know any better making games. And I think there's a power in that because honestly, at the time, RPGs, at least in the West, RPGs were considered to be a dead genre or dying genre. And so a team that didn't know any better was able to make something otherwise a more experienced team might have not even able to try. Over the span of 20 years, BioWare went on a remarkable run in which they created successful games. They What BioWare does its best is telling stories through characters, Dara says. There's always been its strengths. I don't think that we really said it out loud ourselves and really focused on that kind of storytelling. And when we forgot about it, sometimes we got it anyways. Which I think is like really important, you know? Because like, even in Anthem, right, the least like BioWare game there is, that BioWare made, it is still a BioWare game to its core, you know? Like, it still tries to tell stories through characters in some way or another. It doesn't do it isn't the best at it, but it still does it, you know? And that's like sort of like BioWare's inclination of trying to tell stories through characters, or trying to tell stories through characters, you know? And that's like really like important, you know? And like Neverwinter's Nights is technically BioWare's like worst game because its story is like really non-existent and it more serves as a vessel for like mod support. Literally, like Neverwinter's Night is the first game where like modding was the point of it, you know? Yeah, it is a great game, you know, and especially like its expansions are great, you know. That's old BioWare, this is new BioWare. I mean, yeah, but like it's still important, you know. Like BioWare in one form or another has always told stories through characters, even Anthem. No, I'm not saying it's great. I'm not saying Anthem's the best game in existence. I'm just saying like it is important to consider that. Yeah, yeah. And I think TV had done a lot before that, but I don't remember. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, right. I mean, I don't think Anthem's like. I think Anthem could have definitely been better, but I don't think it's like a bad game all the way down. You know, it's a compromise game. I think in some ways. Yeah, yeah, no, I agree with you, Bruva. Dara is one of the several longtime veterans who had to had a say in Veilguard's development. Creative director John Epler, meanwhile, got his start on Sonic Chronicles, which is very funny that John Epler got to start at Bioware with a Sonic game. That's very funny, you know. Epler remembers Gator telling him Dragon Age is a story about people. It's a series about people, and for us, that's the kind of been the North Star we've kept it. It's about the characters, and I think this is really great to hear because like it means that Dragon Age is in good hands to some degree. It's like, oh, I was told that Dragon Age is about people, right? And like that's so good to hear from a creative director, you know. Yeah, but it was like the ugly pet that was so ugly it was cute, more love and nostalgia than the fact that the game was ugly. I'm not sure what you mean, Gino. Everyone's always where's the old buyer, not how's the old how. Yeah, that's true, Zeralton. That's true. Gone like the maker, gone like the maker. Um, even when we're still, even when we were still more multiplayer focused, we did still want to tell a story about Solus. Storytelling comes up again and again at Bioware, which is hard to some of gaming's most beloved tales. But as Bioware started to shift it towards multiplayer, it got away from its core strength. In 2023, David Guerra went to claim, as far as to claim that the writers had become quietly resented at Bioware up until the point that he left in 2016. Now, I think there's a lot of like context missing that a lot of people want to just like throw around this quote randomly. When David Guerra said this, David Guerra was saying this when Anthem rejected his proposal for like Anthem should be, right? Like his writings. And like, yeah, right. I can obviously see how David Guerra would feel mad about that because like his story was fine. Like if David Guerra wrote like a synopsis about Anthem, I think it was good, right? But like they removed it because again, I think what David Guerra was like hitting on the pulse was like, yeah, Fire was shifting towards a multiplayer focus, and that was like harming a lot of its writings, which was always its best strength. It's the thing that was always known about it, you know. Hey, Neverwinter's Night was better than Jet Empire. Another, nah, I gotta disagree on that one, Gina. I think Jet Empire is a bit better. Neverwinter Night base game is a bit of a weird thing because it doesn't have a lot of story, you know. it does in some ways, but like it's more of a module, like it's more of a tool set for, you know, modding, right? I prefer Jade Empire as well. Yeah, Jade Empire is cool. Um, but yeah, like so yeah, yeah. It's definitely had would have had its challenges. Emperor says one of them was always comes to the website. How do I know if I'm playing with my friend? Do I need to wait for them to catch up? Are they making their own decisions? Even when we're still more multiplayer focused, we still wanted to tell a story about Solus. It just became a lot more challenging because again, multiplayer games and single player games have different pressures, have different needs as a project, as a story, and once you add other people's perspectives into it, it becomes more challenging. And I think this is like such an amazing thing to hear because it's like, yeah, Epler isn't saying that like multiplayer games are like bad holistically. They're just saying that like the story we wanted to try to tell was not compatible with a multiplayer game, and that's like we shifted from that because like it wasn't us, you know, which is good. Yeah, Neverwinter's Night is a good game. My go and sell. I mean, yeah, we're so clunky and hard to play without mods. Smooth out. I mean, I don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's that bad. I like how Neverwinter to Winter thing came full circle to the Winter Nights. I mean, that's true, you know. Am I the only one who is a bit relieved that we aren't getting Sims 5 just yet? I've spent too much money on Sims 4. The thought of starting. I mean, yeah, right. I mean, yeah, right. Again, there are like good reasons for why like Sims 4, Sims 5 isn't gonna exist because like you know they don't have to. People don't have to buy new DLCs for it, you know. But like again, there are some issues because like maybe a better foundation would make The Sims better. I don't have a horse in this race, so I'm not gonna like give my opinion on which it should be because like I'm not a Sims guy. But like all you guys who love Sims, you know, more power to you. You know, more power to you. Um, it is getting a bit late, so I'm just gonna skim more through this article just to get through it. Um, oh, and this one is interesting, right? This one is very interesting. It says here, if you told me to write a spec for 5 more Dragon Age games, I could probably come up with that in a couple of weeks because I am always thinking about Dragon Age. And that is interesting to hear because like I remember the first time David Gay was talking about when he was saying where should Dragon Age be, what should the first Dragon Age game be about. He made a lot of little conflicts all over, right? The Blight was just one of many conflicts they could choose, but it wasn't the only one. And so it's like, oh, okay, they chose the Blights, but like Dragon Age is and just to say, because I was watching a video about like Pillars of Eternity, right? And one of the things I was like kind of revealed to me is that like Pillars of Eternity is about exploring a set of themes, while Dragon Age is more about exploring a set of world and characters, right? And so Dragon Age has a lot more leeway for a lot more games because it's more focused on like its world in general, right? Like, hey, we can do small conflicts, we can do big conflicts, we can do world-ending threats. It's a lot more like versatile in that way. I think it's cool. But I think of what they could have done with Sims 5 with all the lessons. I mean, that is true. Closed down channel. There's a lot. There's a lot they could do with the Sims 5. You know. Yep, and I totally think people miss that Andromeda's gameplay was the best in Mass Effect, but so bad a story. I mean, yeah, right. I obviously have a preference for like Mass Effect's older styles because I like consistency, but like there's a lot to Andromeda's gameplay. There really is a lot to Andromeda's gameplay. Yeah, Andromeda did play better than the Emmy games. Combat so fun. I don't think it killed the franchise. I think it's more EA who's just like, damn dude, you're telling me it didn't sell as much as FIFA? I guess we're gonna have to kill you now. You know? Rise of Eternity really disappointed me at the end. I felt like the storytelling fell apart. I don't know. I don't know. Rise of Eternity is like storytelling is really like high, not high concept, but like you have to think about it to really get it. You know, not saying that like you're dumb if you don't, but like you have to put a lot of effort to try to understand Pillars of Eternity. You know, and at the end was just literally this guy who's like, "Hey, trying to have the world less. I'm trying to make sure the world doesn't know the secret that the gods are fake." You know, like, oh yeah, sure, dude. but not getting your game DLC. Yeah, that does make sense. I mean, that does suck, you know. Approver. It does suck that Andromeda getting any DLC. I like to shoot things in Andromeda. I agree. I can agree. I think Andromeda story could have been better. I think it's better than most people say, but like, yeah. I don't. Hinterlands of Stars. I think no. I think Eladin and Eos are Hinterlands on steroids. I don't think Vol or Kadara or Havarl are like that. They're much better. They're much better. Is the Spyware? I mean, yeah, right. That is true, Gino. Like two big desserts. I'll give you that, Bars. Okay, I'll give you that. That's pretty funny. Oh, gameplay was so good, and Andromeda did have a strong basis for a story they could build upon. Then again, I'm a fan of Andromeda. Was a bigger fan of the trilogy. Andromeda was okay. I mean, yeah, right. Like Andromeda had a lot of potential, but they just didn't like. I think okay. Here's the thing that like when Mark Darris said this to me, not to me personally. Mark Darris said this in a live stream, and I completely agree with him. I think Andromeda's story should have been more about a refugee story rather than like a colonial one, because I feel like that makes so much more sense, and it feels much better when you meet the Angaran and not just saying like, "Whoa, hold on there, buddies. We're like the good colonizers, okay? We're like cool and whatnot. We're not here to like kill you. We're good colonizers." Like, oh. But if you come from the perspective of like, hey, we were running away from something that was like terrible and awful, okay? We're refugees, okay? It doesn't mean that the Angara should like, oh, hands over here, like rolling out the red carpet for us. But it's like, oh, we have like we ourselves are coming from the perspective of like, hey, we want to like show you we're not invaders, right? And we're refugees, and we can play with that kind of dynamics, you know, instead of like we're the good colonizers, actually, you know. Hello, Combi Fighter. I hope you're doing good. Can't wait to ruin every companion's relationship with each other. I can't. True. True. Dragon Inquisition has at least one interesting desert. Which interesting desert bards? Okay, there's a lot of them. Even DLCs has DLCs, while Andromeda could improve the quality content that never got. Yeah. I'd agree. A refugee story makes more sense than the colonizer story. Gods that makes much more compelling. It really does, you know. It's like, oh, you could still have like the sort of tone that Andromeda has, but like having a more refugee story makes a lot more sense, because it's like, oh, we're here because we're running away from the Reapers, you know? We're not here to like hurt you, invade you. That doesn't mean that the Angaran should just like hand over heels, like accept them, because like obviously the Angara should be distrustful. It just makes sense for like how the world is at that moment. But it just makes us, the player, feel a bit better, because we're not like saying like, we're just the good colonizers. Now please integrate into our culture. Like, oh, okay. Sure. Why do you what do you do with space exploration research? It's not that Mass Effect. I mean, yeah, right. Like, it's hard to do like exploration without making the story like defocused, you know. Like exploration, like the way Mass Effect tells its story does not lend itself well to exploration if you don't like basically make the story about exploration, you know. Which Andromeda was somewhat about, but like it could have done it harder. It could have done it more. Dragon Inquisition has two deserts, but one was cool, the Oasis. The Western Approach was the boring one. Andromeda had two giant deserts. The one Sands, Danger, and Heat. I mean, yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, like, there was Oasis, Western Approach. Wasn't the Hissing Wastes also a desert, Bart? I feel like that was also a desert. And you could technically call Empress de Luna desert because it was a snowy place. Or you could shoot everyone because I'm just built different. That is true, Vigil. That is true. Also, how they understand with our translation. I mean, that's another thing that was also a bit weird, and obviously like more of a time constraint. But like, how did we understand the Angaran literally immediately? Like, I'm sorry, that's a bit weird, you know. Anyways, back to it. Okay, and here's something that's I think very interesting. Veilguard has been compared against Dragon Age Origins, which tends to be seen as the game that bridges Bioware Games CRPG's past with its present. Epler, who worked on Origins, himself acknowledges has that is darkness and tragedy has always been part of the Dragon Age's DNA, but also says that it wasn't all it. Something that I think we occasionally lose sight of is Dragon Age Origins has merits levity. You have Alistair kind of comes across as goofball, which is like so right, you know, because like a lot of Alistair's like early dialogue was literally like it was first I like you, then zap, frog time. It's like, yeah, right. Like Alistair, like is a character you have immediately, and he's just like funny, you know. And this is like here's the thing, right? There are characters who are a bit lighter, but even they have strategy. They have, oh, wait, oh yeah, yeah. And I think it's that contrast that Origins did that we really lean into in the Veilguard. There are characters who are a bit light, who are a little bit lighter, but even they have tragedy. They have moments of personal despair, and I think that's so true. I finished listening to the Vows and Vengeance with Tosh, and Tosh, like the implication of Tosh's backstory is that she was a Canary like full-fledgedly, but then became Talva Shoth, and like has a lot of gripes with it. There's a lot of like angst behind that, and it's cool. You know, it's cool. Got a bit exactly story areas hard to invest. Yeah, no, I agree with Prova. There are 3 deserts after all in Dragon Age Inquisition. My bad. Yeah, see, Barts. That's the difference between you and me. Okay, I dealt with that. I heard Mass Effect Andromeda development was a mess. Developers and writers almost all of them were hired for Andromeda, left in droves. I mean, yeah, right. Andromeda is like, I remember there was this sort of like therapy thing that Bioware had where you could take leave, or you could take a I don't know what the term is for in America. For in South Africa we call it leave, where you just like take days off, yeah, day off, to recover like in a therapy kind of way. And like after people discovered that, people in Andromeda's like team left in droves, and some of them didn't even come back. You know, like Andromeda's crunch was like ungodly bad. You know, wellness day. I mean, yeah, maybe that is a Chronicles of Nora. Yeah, they threw newbies into the freaking hellhole. I don't think it's that. I think it's like, how do I say? I think they gave Montreal the worst tendencies of Mass Effect. One of the things that made Andromeda hard to develop for was the fact that they borrowed nothing from Inquisition. All the development that Inquisition did, they used none of it. The example I use often is Andromeda, Inquisition, and Anthem all had 3 separate inventory systems. Instead of just like Anthem's teams and Andromeda's team like sucking up and just like using Inquisition's development tools and whatnot, they just like said, no, we're better than the Inquisition team. We're better than Dragon Age. Okay, we're gonna do it ourselves. And then they screw themselves over. You know, that was like I think the tendency that they gave Montreal, which is like you need to assume you're a bit better than Dragon Age. Not explicitly, like, don't say that out loud, but like it's an internalized thing. Ooh boy. Dog is the best and worst companion, so lovable, but also gets you killed twice with it. I'm just in Dragon Age 2, and I got where Gamling was like, dog, and it's like he has a name, you know, and it's just like, why should I? Dog is all you need, you know. And then I immediately was like so tempted to just like name him Dog and just like gaslight Gamlin into thinking the Mabari's name was like something different, you know. Like, no, he has a name, you know. Why would I need to know it? Dog is all the name, you know. Yeah, but it was Montreal, not Edmonton, who has a very expensive. Yeah. Mark Darrow used to call Bioware's crunch Bioware magic. Lol. I'm not sure if that's true, Barts. Because I remember Mark Darrow like made a video called Bioware magic and like said how that's a bad thing and how Bioware is bad at doing that. You know. Too bad Montreal wasn't given their own IP to show off their skills with enough time. I mean, yeah, that does suck. You know. It does suck that like we haven't really seen a lot of like Bioware's like any new IPs, right? Because like if you track like let's see here. Bioware, because he has a really funny thing that I always find very interesting, right? we look at like Bioware's history, right? Of all the games they've made. And then you notice a trend, right, in the early bits. Shattered Steel, Baldur's Gate, and you have some space game, okay? And then you have Baldur's Gate 2, Neverwinter's Night, Star Wars The Old Republic, Jedi Empire, Mass Effect, Sonic, and then Dragon Age. You have like, within like, and when Bioware's like, when they released the first game, which was like in 1986, within like a decade, they released like multiple different games with different like settings and IPs. And then it's just like, okay, cool, we're now the Mass Effect and Dragon Age studio. Like, okay. Also, it is funny that they also was going to make Warhammer Online, which is very funny to me. And also Shadow Realms, which is very funny to me. Here's a Dragon Age that is, yeah. I'll take, I love the mobile game. I like the only thing I like about the Here's a Dragon Age mobile game is the designs that they have. I think they're cool. Anyways, back to it. Because I think if you just again lean super hard into everything being grim all the time, nothing good ever happens. It becomes fatiguing. You kind of lose the sense of impact. You need that contrast between the higher moments, the lighter moments, and the dark moments, because that's life. And I think this is such a good thing to say, because like what made Origins like darker moments hit a lot harder was being able to understand when it was a lot more brighter, you know. I think Baldur's Gate 3 silenced some of the naysayers. Now this is where I think a lot more, I was saying, where this became really interesting for me. But while fans stylized Veilguard gore, oh, we're not gonna get to that yet. I think maybe I missed that. Anyways, I'm gonna end stream soon. But I'll say that eventually. I think we're not gonna get to the Eurogamer article. I'll get to like one bit of the Eurogamer article, but after that, I think I'm just done today. And also here, I just want to, because I find this very funny, you know, like Gary McKay is apparently known as More Blood Guy, you know. So I love to imagine, you know, Gary McKay like walks into the office, like, whoa, that's a nice section you got there. Can you have more blood? Like, no, McKay, not again. Like, you know, they have to hide your work so he doesn't just like say like, can we have more blood in this? You know, can we have like literally like fountains of blood sport? Like, which I respect that, you know. I respect Gary McKay for doing that, you know. Like, what a guy, you know. Like, my man. Okay, here it is. In the meantime, there's also comparisons that Dragon Age is drawing against Baldur's Gate 3. A definitely old school RPG. There's suddenly Bioware's reaction to it is to treat Baldur's Gate 3's emergence as a net positive. To the Veilguard's team, it's more proof that getting back to the studio's original strengths was the right move. Yeah, I don't really feel like the earthquake in terms of people being worried about it. I think what I really saw last year more than anything was a renaissance in the RPG genre. Last year was arguably the strongest year we've seen in terms of RPGs. We had Baldur's Gate 3, Hogwarts Legacy, Starfield, and tons of other RPGs. I think it silenced some of the naysayers. It didn't really cause a major shift in the way Veilguard was being developed, but I think it made some people who maybe were thinking, well, we should really be making action games, because action games sell 10 million copies and RPGs sell 6 million copies. Now, I think this is really important. And also, let me see if I can find here. Yeah, okay. Because like one of the interesting things is like what Baldur's Gate 3 did for Bioware is just like show EA that like, hey, RPGs can sell 10 million copies, okay? We don't have to just make action games, okay? We can try to do more, you know, which I think is important, you know. I love the anecdote about Gary being all, you just fought Darkspawn. Why are you not covered in blood? I should see it dripping. It's like, yeah. Nice, like, you sure you don't want to put some corpse nearby that bloody in the water? Yo, man, like, Gary McKay, based man, okay? Man who's like, more blood? Perhaps? A bit off topic, but Silent Hill 2 is a smash hit, possibly in now. Oh, that's good then. I'm happy Silent Hill 2's remake's gone well. I'm not really a fan of like horror games in general, But I'm glad Silent Hill, because like I know it's a foundational like horror game and a lot of people love it, and I'm glad it's doing well for those people. Um, I want to see, because I remember there was something here about BioWare saying like, yeah, maybe it was at the end. Anyways, in Dragon Age lore, the Crossroads dimensions. Yeah, okay, and then unbelievable excitement. We spent a full day with him and Laura, and the excitement in Andrew's eyes. And this is very funny to me with Andrew Wilson, because like he's a weird guy. He's still like a stooge for like EA, but like my man, there's some like weird charm to him. I don't get. It's like the excitement that he was portraying in the meeting was infectious. I know it seems maybe it doesn't seem so weird, but he inspired us to. And also one thing I want to say as well. I'm not. I don't think everything that McKay says here is true. Because I think McKay is wise enough to understand that, like, hey, I can't like shit talk my boss. He has to like kind of like, yeah, you're kind of cool, dude. You're kind of like the best guy in existence, right? But I don't think he's like general on here, and I just want to say that quickly. Um, but anyways, it's cool though. On to the next point. One way or another, the sense of relief within the studio after the demo was palpable, but the hard times were still coming. The same month that Baldur's Gate 3 was released, Bioware laid off 50 workers. Longtime veterans like Mary Kirby, who was literally, in Gator's own words, Varric's creator, Mistress of the Canary, Rada the Chant. It was Kirby who wrote Lucanus, the Veilguard's resident assassin. At the higher level, the layoffs came to amid internal studio shakeup. And this is again like. Wait, and also here's him. McKay, one comment on the status of Mass Effect. Wait, no, it was somewhere else. Yeah, McKay for his part waves away suggestions that Bioware is mismatched for EA's portfolio, saying that couldn't be farther from the truth. And EA has been supportive of the studio's efforts. I feel that we've had the full support, and when you think about the support in terms of giving us time to deliver on the creative promise of what we wanted to do, we've had 100% support from EA. And we don't even look at it as EA and Bioware necessarily. We get the support, and there's other titles are interesting RPGs as well. And so I don't see it as something separate or something carrying the torch. Now, here's the thing, right? I think McKay's like smart enough to understand, like, he can't just say like, yeah, man, you are right. We are a bit of a mismatch in EA's portfolio, and EA doesn't really give us the support we need, right? Like, literally, they made us do a multiplayer game. But because like I think McKay has to like thread the needle and say like, no, EA has been really supportive of us. It's also very funny as well because like again I think this is true that like EA views Bioware as like again weirdos. Hold on. My little dog Rosie has been scratching at my door constantly. Big baby. There's a lot of stake, at least, in meeting fans' expectations. Wait, hold on. Let me catch up on chat quickly. Hogwarts Legacy was awesome. Better way to fun than I thought. Oh yeah, right. I think Hogwarts Legacy was a really cool game. Other books up to Asmongold Gold and the Trolls and Call It the World Good Bad and some OG fans. Yeah. Here's the Dragon Age was actually really cool. Mechanics. No, I think Here's the Dragon Age was a really cool game. But like as being a mobile game, it kind of like didn't give me too much like energy to play it. As the players, you don't get a lot of moves, like, okay, on the floor, battles easier. Yeah. I mean, yeah, right. Yeah, it does suck that, like, some gameplay stuff, like, spells and whatnot, aren't really revisited. Like, Stonefist is, like, an in-game thing that's, like, talked about and referenced, but, like, they never really have you use that spell in-game. Dog, these hate bandwagons really have no effect anymore. There's so much hate for games and negativity that has no effect. Yeah, it does suck, because like it's just literally it exists to exist. People hate to hate. I hope the bridge is not burned between Kirby and Bar. I don't think so. I remember on Blue Sky, like Kirby was like chatting up with Trick Weeks, you know. So I don't think it's burnt, and I do think like a lot of people were really sad to see them go, you know, and I hope they keep up. I hope they can. I don't know. I think Kirby wouldn't like go back to BioWare because you know she was literally laid off. You know, pretty cool if she got back there. Um, I don't know ideas. Well, just give. Sorry. Yeah, Gina. Rosie. Yeah, and my Rosie, like, because it's a bit late by where I am. You know, it's she absolutely despises it because she wants to go to bed now. Um, yeah, there's such a political answer from Gary because I was reading it. I kept nodding and head like, yeah, dude, we totally hear what you're saying. You know, like Gary, blink once if you're being held hostage. Blink twice if you're not. It's like, oh, okay, sure, Gary, we understand you. Okay, you doggo. Oh, thank you guys. IE was very supportive. They gave me head pats. Someone who gives you head pats can't be evil. That's true, Vigil. That's true. I do like the new body types of the UI customization. Yeah, no, I can agree with you. You doggo. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Approva. What a well-bred Mabari. She certainly acts like it. I'm sure Rosie is a fantastic war dog. She certainly is. She cannot help but bark at literally everything that moves, you know. I used a drag that actually led me to play something DA related well. Oh, that's cool then. I'm glad they you enjoyed it for Missile. Heck, The Last of Us 2 seemed like it got as much hate as Battlefront 2, which makes no sense. Yeah, it doesn't really make sense, right? I can get people not liking the direction Last of Us 2 took, but like I don't get the hate. Anyways, we're nearly done. We're so close. BioWare's roller coaster ride through Dragon Age. Feel. Oh yeah, and this is interesting, right? When I asked a beer analyst her expectations, she said she doesn't have a specific date for Dragon Age: The Veilguard, but the overall interest in the series has spiked since it revealed. She notes that June saw about 480k MAUs across Steam, Xbox, PlayStation, which she rates as positive for the series, and saw its last released in 2014. Just says RPGs have been the second most popular genre across PlayStation, Xbox, and Steam in 2024. Cool. As for how important Dragon Age: The Veilguard is, I can't, you know, and this is obviously like again an EA employee, and they can't really give you like exact like what they think, because like if you I think talk to Laura like without any interviews, off the cuff, nothing's recorded, she'll probably say like, yeah, I mean if this doesn't do well, we may have to like reduce Bioware's size, you know. I can't really say without knowing other factors that are only internal, I assume, but obviously there's a lot of passion and love for the Dragon Age series, and for BioWare fans have high expectations around really any product they deliver, and so it's a question of whether they deliver with that with the length of development time, and I can definitely hear like this sort of like corporate EA going in with the length of development time, and this being another major entry in the beloved franchise. There's a lot at stake, at least in the meeting expectations fans. Like, man, dude, Laura, just say it outright, you know. Now McKay says, hopefully, I think we're on the doorstep of something pretty amazing, and I think that's great, you know. I think this is generally like such an amazing article, you know. Like it gives you such a good grasp on like why Veilguard is the way it is, but also like on the amount of effort, the amount of like push that Bioware did just to get Veilguard just to make Veilguard the way it is, you know. We could have had a lot worse, but no, we didn't. You know? My friend finally finished Inquisition and said 2 was his favorite. I can't talk about Marty's experience comments. Oh no, that's cool, Wonka Star. That's cool though. Dragon Age 2 is also my favorite, you know. I'm glad he has such good taste. Next article for the next live video, please. I mean, sure, we can do that then. I was happy to join the stream. Oh no, it's cool, Wonka Star. I'm glad you enjoyed it. The thing that hurt The Last of Us 2 that they killed Joel and didn't stick to one character arc during the game. I can get that, but like here's the thing, right? Last of Us 1, like, what else do you do after Last of Us 1? Like, The Last of Us 1 ended, Joel, like, killed a bunch of people, and Ellie's there. Like, what do you do now? Right? Like, the most obvious one is to, like, have that story of, like, we need to, like, get Ellie to make a cure for the world, you know? And do that sort of thing again. Um, yeah, it's just, I don't know. Last of Us 2, I think, is a fine story, but I think in context, probably, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I have to think about it more then. It was a bigger hate than DMC Dante, the remake. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I guess for me, DMC Dante was a bit charming. Like, I didn't like him as much as, like, normal Dante, but, like, there was something there, you know? But, like, Last of Us 2 was a bit different, you know? I have to think about it more. Also, I have us play Abby, who is, yeah, yeah. I really hope the work the devs put into get this game off. Yeah, I'm very excited as well. Chronicles of Nora. I'm so, like, as I was reading this, like, article, right, I was genuinely surprised, happy, and honestly, like, really relieved. Just, like, listening to these developers, like, so passionate about this game, and just like, yeah, this is, like, us. We did our best, you know. I think anyone who calls, like, Bioware lazy or whatnot is so wrong. Because, like, the lazy person would have just let EA do whatever, you know. But no, Bioware fought tooth and nail against the impulses that EA had, and again, like, this is such an important quote. Quote. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? So it's not a multiplayer game. It's not a microtransaction game. It's an offline game. These are all the things that we really wanted to return to what we feel like would be a successful game. And it's not like a game that will sell well. It's a successful game. A game that they believe is what they want to do. And again, up here, obviously set in the world of Dragon Age around incredible storytelling, characters that just jump at you in the game. And it's just like, man, dude, like, it's so good, you know? Like, regardless of what Veilguard will be, it is truly a showcase of developers fighting back against, you know, their sort of corporate overlords, and then, like, making the game that they desire to make, you know. And it's such a, like, a nice tale. Yeah, the hate spread from their nonsense, but that was where the hate stemmed from. I mean, yeah, you know, I get you from The Last of Us. Yeah. Dragon Age Veilguard is now 72 on Steam. If the game is good, I mean, yeah, right. That's pretty good combi fighter. Like, man, dude, like, literally top 100. A part of me was terrified that the release date would be moved, but with it having gone gold, I mean, yeah, right. I obviously would like more time to finish, you know, all the games and stuff. But, like, we gotta release it eventually, okay? That series like The Last Jedi, I respected. Yeah, I get you, Close down general. Though I do think The Last Jedi has more connections with the broader Star Wars, like, movies than, like, than Last of Us 2 in some ways. I don't know. I have to think about it. DMC is kind of underrated. Yeah, I think it's cool. You know. I really dislike when gamers call game devs passionate. Like, some people, like, yeah, man, like, dude, you do not become a game developer to become rich. You know, you do not become a game developer for an easy life. You become a game developer if you like, if you love to ruin your own life to make something you love. You know. By the way, did you see Mr. Hilton stream? I'm not sure about that. I only dipped in my toe into the game deving. It does. I've done a bit of game dev myself as well, closed down channel, and it is oppressively difficult. Like, oppressively difficult. Yep, like, they can even create a game like Starfield story-wise, I understand, but version good. Yeah, like, Starfield's story was definitely, like, it's, I wouldn't say it's literally the best game in existence, right? It has a lot of issues, but it's definitely a game that, like, is not made by passionate people. Those people tried. Those people really did. The last Star Wars movies were butchered. I mean, I don't disagree, Gina. I don't disagree. You can tell. Anyways, catch us up on chat. I think that's it. Closing thoughts. closing thoughts. This article's, I generally think, really good. It gives a lot of explanations to why Veilguard is the way it is. They clearly, when they were given the go-ahead to remove the live service elements, they obviously had a choice of, should we, should we rework the gameplay? Should we change it back to something more familiar to Dragon Age? Or should we use the basis we have and build off and do what we can to make a good story and make good characters? And I don't think there was a objectively correct answer in that situation. I think there was only, both answers are good, but I think what they did was the best answer they could come up with, right? It was the best answer they did. Because, like, a lot of issues with game development is that a lot of the times when you're making a game, resetting development is a lot more taxing than most people think. It isn't just this, like, small, tiny thing you're like, oh, we just, like, restarted some stuff. No, you are reworking the entire thing, and you have to now have system designers, combat designers, all of them work in this new method and new understanding. And now it's like, okay, cool. We just basically have to, like, redo the entire game, and all of our efforts have been wasted. Like, okay. And what they did was not that. They built off what they could and made it as best as they could. Is it the best? Is it the thing that should have happened? I don't think so. But I think they did the best with what they could. And yeah. It was fun. Thanks, Night. Oh, no, yeah. You too, Julia. Thank you for joining, Guys, none of the follows are George Lucas's direction. That is true, Professing. But anyways, that has been the stream. I'm just gonna, like, slowly close out. Thank you guys for joining the stream. It was really great. If you have any last thoughts that you want to say, then you can say them now. And then go. Oh, hello, Chili Hunter. I hope you're doing good. But yeah, but anyways, thank you guys, and thank you, Pruva, for the donations. That was very kind of you, next day, next article. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the Eurogamer article tomorrow. I'm very busy tomorrow. I may literally legitimately have to do it, like, next week. But I'll think about it. Take care. No, take care. Bye, Barts. See you, Gina. Bye, Comedy Fighter. One live for one article catch up. Maybe approver. Oh, hey, Random Wanderer. Night. Now, good night, my guy. Last thoughts. I don't know. It is what it is. We'll see what happens. No, we'll see. Enjoy, Vigil. See you, close down channel. I hope you have a nice day. Thanks for joining, Chronicles of Nora. It's nice seeing you here. I hope you enjoy your day. See ya, Omersol. Oh, no, yeah. Thank you, Approver. Happy to caught you for the stream. No, I'm happy to see you as well, Hate YouTube for that. No, I agree. But no, anyways, Chronicles of Nora, thank you so much, for coming. It was nice to see you. Good job. I guess that's it. So, thank you all for coming to chat with me. It was nice seeing you all here, and I always enjoy doing these live streams, and I always love just, like, the conversations and chats we have, even if it gets a bit off topic in many areas. I enjoyed. Yeah. Enjoy. Bye, Julia.